All right, I think I did just miss it, so I gotta add a point. Testing, testing. I gotta add 1 point and then some points from last stream as well, right? Hello, hello. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Hold on. How we all doing? We doing okay? All right, all right, all right. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. All right. All right. Yeah, I think I gotta. How many points do I have to add total? Because we had to add some points from last time, right? So I owe you guys a few points. I owe you guys a few points. So I'll give you guys some points for today. Yeah, I think I was 1 minute behind. Normally you guys get on my ass right away. Tiptio, thanks for the 2. Wano analysis less than a month away, Morge. Yeah, I'm aware of the ticking time. Thanks. Stormy4907 said sent laughing disco for 250 jewel. What? What? 2 point? It's 1 point. 1 point. Not 2 points. No, it's not. It's not even close to 2. It's 1 point. 1 point and only barely 1 point. The hell? Do we have to do with the? It's 1 point. I guess you guys are really delayed. I feel like you guys are really delayed right now. What do you think of the rumors this is only going to Skypea? So what is the? It's not 2 minutes late. It's not 2 minutes late. What? Where are we getting 2 points from? All right, hold on. Here we go. Look. So I've been live for 2 minutes 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59. I've been live for 3 minutes. I should barely even have to do what? Wait. I've been yeah. It's 1 point. It's 1 point. It's 1 point. 1 point, you're right. I was close to 2 points. I owe you here's the important thing. So you get 1 point today. I owed you some points from last stream. Do you guys remember how many points I owed you from last stream? Last chapter, it was said that Imu's black flames turned into bullets. I think this heavily implies that black blades are made from Maki. I don't know if it heavily implies that, but yeah, there's something there. Magnus 94. Okay. For every day the Wano analysis past the deadline, you get an interest rate of +5 late points. I don't think that's a good system because, like, one, it's technically just supposed to be a video of me defending Wano, right? But I'm allowed to swap it out for the Wano analysis if I get it out by then. Because that will have some defense of Wano in it, right? But if we do that system, then I essentially don't have to ever do late point penalties, right? Think about that. Because if, you know what I'm saying? Like, if I don't get the, like, every day I don't do the late penalty of getting the Wano analysis out, if all that does is add more late points, then what's my incentive for actually doing the penalties? Does that make sense? If the only penalty is I get more late points. So we got to get out a video defending Wano by then. 6 points from last stream? 6 points, so 7 points total? Oh, shit. All right, that's not good. Here, let me show you guys what I'm looking at. All right, so we got to do. Oh my god. Okay. So 6 points. That's 143. Oh, here we go. Look at this. Witch Hat Atelier. So my girlfriend and I are watching that right now. I think we're 2 episodes behind. Oh no, it's Monday now, right? So I think we're 2 episodes behind because another episode just came out. So it is beautifully, beautifully animated for sure, no doubt about that. It is absolutely beautifully animated. Um, it feels like it's got kind of like the style feels Miyazaki-esque in terms of like the world and feel. You know, it feels Miyazaki-esque to me, where part of it's not pushing a plot as aggressive. Like part of the magic, as you might say, is just enjoying the the feel of the world, the feel of the environment, the magic, etc. Right? Like part of the magic is feeling the magic. You get what I'm saying, right? That's just what um, you kind of just it's less story forward, I think. But obviously, we're very early. It's very early days in Witch Hat Atelier. Um, yeah, 5 hours. I'm curious what you guys would vote for. You guys want to see the penalties again? Here's the penalties. Here's the penalties. You can spend on a lot of these right now if you wanted. You can spend on a lot of these. 5 hour stream. You guys can save up for these tiers. I want to remove collab with Jay and Murphy and add in a different one because I feel like it's not a real. I don't know. It is a penalty in the sense that it breaks from my usual schedule, so it would be like a pain in the ass because now I got to coordinate it. But I'm wondering if there's a more fun sort of penalty for you guys than that. My only thing with Witch Hat, I like Witch Hat. I like Witch Hat Atelier. It's relaxing to watch. My only thing is that it does feel almost too kitty and cutesy so far, right? So on the one hand, it's relaxing, you know. The characters are pretty much all children, except for the teacher. But like literally, they're all children. It does feel like a little too kitty cutesy in a sense, but I've enjoyed. So I think what I think it's a series that getting one episode a week is good. Obviously, that's what we have right now. So we'll probably catch up on those 2 episodes maybe this evening. Yesterday was Monday, right? So maybe this evening or tomorrow or something like that after stream. But yeah, I feel like it is a little. I don't know. It's a little. I don't know. It's enjoyable. I'm not trying to critique it. I guess I'm not trying to critique it. I'm just curious where, like, if a strong story develops from here or something like that. But I don't know. Bro has not read the manga. I guess I've not. That's just what I feel so far with the first 4 episodes. I like the first four. Okay. Here's what I would say. So with the first 4 episodes, if it wasn't so beautiful, like it's so beautifully done, like visually, it's amazing, like phenomenally animated series. Just like her doing simple stuff, like the little test of trying to get around the sky islands or whatever. It feels really breathtaking, right? It feels like a visual masterpiece, right? If it wasn't animated with this level of care, I don't think I would be very invested in the series right now. But obviously it is, so what's the point in talking about that, Zolden, thanks for the 5. Hey, Morge, you should play the One Piece Wordle. It's fun, even if it feels like it's missing some characters. One Piece Wordle? What does that mean? One Piece Wordle. I see something called One Piece Dull. One Piece Dull? You know what? Hold on. Okay. All right, we got a second screen online. That was the issue. Here we go. I did want to talk about the wit. Fuck. Where am I? Where am I? Where am I in all this? Okay. Here we go. What the fuck? All right. Okay. What's the... Okay. I think I got it. Hold on. No. Why can't I add my camera? Okay. All right. Which one of these is... Okay, it's... I got it. I got it for real this time. There we go. You guys never believe in me. It's a good thing I believe in myself. It's a good thing I got myself on my side to believe in me. All right, here we go. Is this the One Piece Wordle? Is this what I'm supposed to be looking up? Play One Piece Wordle? Mork falling for the jingling keys and flashing lights. Art is not jingling keys and flashing lights. Which Hat Atelier looks beautiful, and it's produced beautifully. Classic is the main one. Nah, Zoro's ass. What? Zoro's more powerful when it comes to damage. I'd probably even argue... Wait, who are we comparing here? Zoro versus who? Sanji? Zoro versus Sanji. I think Zoro's always been better than Sanji in terms of damage output. Sanji's more speed and like attack combinations. Morge level up production quality. Yeah, it looks good now, right? A little bit. Still need to fix the background. Grizzly Adams 8277, thanks for being a Pirate King tier member for 33 months. Morge, what if the weakling trio all get connections, not necessarily the devil fruit, to the other three gods? Even if it's Mickey, I'll accept any excuse Oda comes up with to recenter the story on the Straw Hats. So, Forest God, let's say Chopper gets that. Let's say Nami gets the Rain God fruit. I would be strongly, personally opposed to Usopp getting any sort of powerful devil fruit, just because to me, I feel like Usopp is supposed to be weak. Like, weak and not have a strong toolkit and have to make things work, you know? I feel like that's the appeal of Usopp. Because Nami, it's easy to say, like, well, Usopp and Nami are the same. They both have to rely on, like, you know, like, they're both physically weak, but they rely on their stuff, you know, their toys or tricks. But Nami, that's actually not always been... It's technically been the case, but it's a little different in the sense that Nami has a really powerful kit. She's always had a crazy powerful attack kit ever since Alabasta, and she's just had to figure out ways to make that work in combat with her being a physically weak character, right? Usopp is not like that. Usopp has always had to work with a really weak kit relative to the rest of the crew. He's always had the weakest attack power, weakest like abilities, right? He's always had to really figure out how to jerry-rig everything together to make it work. And in doing so, he's able to punch above his weight class, right? Nami's like a glass cannon. Usopp's not a glass cannon, right? So with Nami, her getting a crazy powerful fruit, I wouldn't like her getting the Rain God fruit, especially because I don't think Rain even represents her well. I think Lightning really has become her shtick. And she's got crazy powerful lightning abilities, like Yonko level lightning abilities as is. But, you know, if she got the Rain God fruit, it would at least fit her in some ways. Usopp getting a God fruit, it's just so antithetical to everything that he is. I know there's the jokes about God Usopp and everything, but the whole point is that he's, like, the God part of him, he's not actually God. He just is a normal dude who is in a world of monsters and stuff, and he's able to make his way, you know, and overcome his fears. Also, Grizzly Adams, make sure you get your Pirate King submission in while these submissions are still up. I'm going to be recording probably tomorrow, so get your submissions in while you can today. And yeah, for those of you who don't know, Pirate King Podcast it has submissions open right now. The Pirate King Podcast is a monthly podcast that I do for Pirate King tier members. It is, a monthly podcast that I do for Pirate King tier members. It is a space where I answer any and all questions that you guys have about One Piece, other anime, manga, movies, TV show, real life, etc. And yeah, it's just a space where I can answer all those questions in far greater detail than I usually have time to on streams. So definitely go and check that out when you get if you get the chance, if you want to support the channel. And submissions are going to be closing right about today. So if you want to get your submission in for this upcoming podcast, then definitely go and do so now. And you'll get your question answered, and obviously you get access to all previous podcasts. Yeah, so Grizzly Adams, just check that out if you can. Or when you get the chance. Kalal Brown, 8039, thanks to the 5. Hey, Morge, how strong are we thinking the Rain God is? In my opinion, she can't be weaker than an Admiral. I see her being a team-up fight for the Strahds to debut new power-ups. Oh, you think... you're saying, like, whatever killing him just summoned, right? Whatever killing him just summoned? I mean... Whatever killing him just summoned, it's just killing him's... So this is something... Okay, I actually talked about this in today's Yonko podcast. So Yonko podcast, it's a weekly podcast that comes out, accompanies every one of my videos, right? In the Yonko podcast, I talk about pretty much everything that I did not include in the Tuesday video for the week, right? So one thing I talked about at length in the Yonko podcast today is that, here, let me pull this up. I'll just share it here a little bit. We're on chapter 1182. So look at this. So let's start with this. So a lot of people feel like this design that we're getting right here for Zaza, this design and these abilities are going to be what the Zaza Devil Fruit user looks like and what the Zaza Devil Fruit user's abilities are. That's not the case. This is just Killingham's imagination of what Zaza is. Okay, so like, if for example, like let's look back here, probably 1143. Where did the nightmares first start? Yeah, I think around here. Yeah. Is it here? Maybe it's next chapter. I guess it's the previous chapter. Okay. So, look. Okay. You see how this is the version of Nika? Right? So this is the version of Nika that's created from the Giant's Kid's fears, right? So this is what's manifested as an MMA. Because this is what the Giant Kids fear, or at least one of them feared, and so this is what Killingham was able to create. Because that's what they imagine. If you fear Nika, like that's just what they imagine Nika to be like. Is this what Luffy actually looks like? No. It's similar, but not really. I mean, but it's not the same thing, right? Does this version of Nika display any of Luffy's powers? No. Right? It does not. Why? Because all that can be created here is basically to the best knowledge of what the Giant Kids have, right? So if you're a kid, you're scared of Nika, you've never seen Nika before, you've never seen the Nika Devil Fruit user before, you've seen drawings, so then this is what they conjure up. They conjure up this warrior, they've got white and everything like that, they look scary, they've got a sword and shield, because that's what they saw in a drawing. But the kid doesn't know what Nika's powers are, and so this version of Nika doesn't display any of Luffy's powers, right? Same applies. Okay, so Nidhogg, I think Nidhogg is much more accurate to what Loki looks like, but it's not quite the same. It's not really the same, and definitely does not show the same level of abilities. Even this I believe is supposed to be Loki himself, from what I remember. I think this is supposed to be a depiction of Loki. And it's not Loki, right? This does not really resemble Loki himself accurately, right? And he doesn't have Loki's powers, okay? So all of that is to say is that the MMAs, they just reflect the knowledge base of the user, right? Zaza is still like a legend. Like, Killingham's never seen the Zaza Devil Fruit user, right? Killingham barely even knows about the concept of rain, is what it seems like, right? So just because Killingham created this deity based off of Killingham's knowledge of Zaza, that does not mean that this is the same as, like, let's say, what the Shandians imagine Zaza to be like, right? And therefore, this doesn't necessarily reflect what the Devil Fruit user of Zaza's abilities are going to be, or what the Devil Fruit user is even going to look like. Does that make sense? So I think that's the big thing that people are... I hope people don't read too much into this. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's all I'm saying. Yeah, I don't think... I think all Oda's really spoiling here with the Zaza reveal is just that, hey, reminder, the rain god, rain goddess, whatever, it is going to be a thing in the story. Like, there is going to be a Devil Fruit user of that in the story. So watch out for that, because it is like an important deity in One Piece mythology. So watch out for the Devil Fruit user. I don't think Oda's just going to full-blown spoil all of Zaza's abilities or even the full appearance with Killingham's MMA. So let's keep that in mind. So let me circle back to what you were talking about, which was how strong is... I'm going to assume that when you're saying, Kalal Brown, when you're saying, hey, Morge, how strong do you think the Rain God is? I'm going to assume that you're talking about this, whatever Killingham just summoned. You're saying can't be weaker than an admiral. I feel like Sanji won't be able to fight her. So I feel like this is a being created to be fought by the weaker Straw Hats, because I don't see how Sanji's going to deal with this. Therefore, I don't think it can be admiral level. Essentially, if you think Zaza is admiral level, then you're basically saying you think Killingham is admiral level. Like, Killingham himself won't fight here, but he can create beings that are at least admiral level in strength. Then that's basically saying Killingham is admiral level. I think admiral level can get tossed around a bit too fluidly. You know, maybe this MMA will surprise me, but at the end of the day, it's still an MMA, you know? I don't think Killingham can just whip up characters who are stronger than Kizaru, Aokiji, Fujitora, just like that. You know, these are very strong characters. Like, just last arc, we saw Kizaru versus Gear 5 Luffy, you know? It's still a challenge for Luffy to some degree, right? I don't think this creation is going to be that strong, personally. I mean, I think it's going to be strong. Like, it is a end game threat of Elbaf, but I don't think it's going to be... I think admiral level is a high bar, you know? Maybe it surprises me. Yeah. Hope that answers the question. Tia Treviso, thanks to the two. In Japanese, it said, Forest God sent forth demons. Yeah, and my, my translator, the person who I go to for translations, also had something pretty similar. So it's entirely possible that the Forest God doesn't tame demons like we've seen other translations, but, you know, there's multiple interpretations of the same thing, because the Harley is kind of like that. It's a little vague. And the important thing is that, like, with Chopper, the main thing is that we know something weird is going on, right? That's all we really know. We know that something weird is going on. I think even if we go back to... Let's see. I think it'd be around here. Maybe it was the previous chapter. Maybe it was 1177. Oh, wait, hold on, no. Okay, so let's try and examine this, right? So, hang on, I'll handle, blah, blah, blah. So, Chopper just touches them. The demons leave. I mean, so there's different ways you can interpret it, right? So maybe it's not tame demons. Maybe it's the Forest God banished demons or sent demons away or something like that. Because it says sent forth demons, right? So maybe that implies, like, getting rid of demons, making them leave the body. Hey, so what do you just do? I don't know why, but all I have to do is hit them and it cures their demonic power. Right? So maybe Chopper doesn't have the Forest God fruit. I'm looking at, like, a character who is, you know, got some. He's some sort of a deer, right? That has the power to cure demons, right? We assume it's probably devil fruit related. So either the Hito Hito. What if the Hito Hito no Mi has special awakened abilities? If Chopper doesn't have the Forest God fruit, what if the Hito Hito no Mi can do it? There's always that possibility. Like it brings back your humanity. But to me, Occam's razor suggests Chopper. I'm gonna go with the simplest answer right now, which is that Chopper does have the Forest God fruit, and then if somebody else turns out to have it, then that's great. Then that's a surprise. It still feels weird to me to think of fucking Chopper of all people as like the Forest God, but maybe that's part of that at the same time that's somehow congruent with Chopper's character, which is like, oh, he's supposed to be this cute little reindeer, but he can turn into, Monster Point and stuff. At least pre-time skip, that was the concept. Post-time skip, you know what it is? It's really post-time skip. Because pre-time skip, Chopper was, like, he was supposed to be a monster. Like, that was, like, a big part of his character and his personality. Even before Monster Point was introduced, the whole thing was, like, Chopper, like, I'm not, like, a little Tanuki, like, I'm a monster, I'm strong and stuff like that, And then that just went away post-time skip. Tiptio says, I think it means devil fruits fruited from plants. Yeah, same here, because if you go back to my video that came out probably like this time last year, after the mural first came out, right? So when the mural first came out, I did my big video, like everybody else, just like breaking down all the parts of the mural. And I attributed the forest god brought forth devils, or like sent out devils, or whatever the phrasing was. I interpreted that as devil fruits, right? Fruits come from trees, right? So Harley speaks in a poetic sense. Therefore, because devil fruits come out of trees, or like fruits come out of trees, and these fruits started popping up all over the world, that that allowed one to get devil powers, right? My interpretation back then was that the phrasing, the forest god sent forth demons, was referring to the creation of devil fruits. So that was what I talked about in that video. And then my opinion changed once Chopper started doing this wacky shit, and I was like, okay, maybe it's actually referring to someone who had a fruit that allowed them to tame demons, or like undo demonic things or something. I don't know. But it's up in the air. It's up in the air. All we know right now is that Chopper's fruit does stuff that a normal Zoan should not let you do. That's all we can really say at the moment. But Forest God seems like a simple answer because, again, forest deities are generally depicted as deers or elks of some sort, right? Chopper, for whatever reason, despite having the Hito Hito no Mi, doesn't ever actually turn into a human, right? He doesn't turn into that. Oda's already started doing the devil fruit fake outs. Like, Luffy doesn't actually have the Gomu Gomu no Mi. He has the fucking mythical Zoan Hito Hito no Mi model Nika. Who's Nika? We just learned about him during the Kaido fight, but that's who Luffy is. His fruit is, right? So, like, Oda's not exactly one to shy away from dropping, like, crazy game-changing bombshells like that. Yeah, just a lot of things would fit for Chopper being the forest god, or having the forest god fruit. It's just an easy fit. It's like, okay, the dude, deer with magic powers, right? What would a forest god pick as its user? A fucking deer. A lot of it makes sense, so it's simple. But I did like the earlier interpretation that forest god sent forth demons referred to the creation of devil fruits. But there's a lot we got to break down. Continuing on. Ajay05, thanks for the 2. Order the strides by who you'd let date your brother/sister/pet. Okay, I guess pet is included in there for Chopper, right? Who I would let date... Okay, let's start with sister. So I actually have a sister. So who I would let date my sister... Usopp would be number 1. I think Usopp's an easy number 1. Easy number 1 for that. Because it's just... Usopp is... One, he's... as far as we know, like... He's the only Straw who we've kind of seen in a relationship, right, with Kaya, and he treated her very well. He was always trying to make her happy. Usopp is a good guy. He is a coward, but he's not actually a coward, right? He's a coward in the context of One Piece, where they're surrounded by fucking gods and monsters and stuff like that, right? In the normal world, which is what we're operating in, right? Usopp would be like 50 times braver than probably anybody that I know, anybody that you guys know, right? Like, Usopp's done so many brave things at this point, right? So Usopp's only real flaw is only a flaw when stacked up against the superhuman characters that make up the rest of the Stride crew. In actuality, in the real world, Usopp would be like a very capable person, you know? Very capable person. He's smart. He's a good guy. He tells lies and fibs, but he's not a liar and a fibber in the way that, like, he actually is trying to, like, manipulate you and gaslight you, right? Like, we never get the sense that he does that to Kaya. He just, like, for the person he loves, he treats her very well, and he makes it clear that his tall tales are just tall tales, you know. So Usopp, easy number one. After that, the answer would probably be no one. If I had to rank, Sanji, in theory, like, so if it was pre-time skip Sanji, then he might be number one as the option, because we know how well Sanji treats women, right? But post-time skip Sanji has unearthed such a disgustingly perverted side to him that it's just like, it feels like, it actually feels like it would be, like, I wouldn't want my sister to date, like, a sexual predator, which is basically what it feels like Sanji is. Even though he isn't really, it's a vibes thing, right? You're asking who I would want. I wouldn't want someone who is as perverted as Sanji dating my sister. So Usopp would be number one. Zoro, I just think, would not be a good partner. He's too self-focused. He's just too, he's not considerate with feelings and stuff like that. Too blunt. Luffy's too dumb. Luffy's just too dumb. Like, I think, because I know my sister as a person, she would not get along well with Luffy. Period. Like, would not get along well with Luffy. He's too stupid, breaks things, makes terrible decisions. He'll, like, go out and spend all the money you have in the bank on, like, a big party and stuff like that. It would actually, like, Luffy in the real world would ruin any woman's life, right? Bottom tier partner. Also, in the real world, where, you know, you can't just solve problems like going out and beating people up, Luffy would be a deadbeat, because there's no job that would fucking hire him, right? He would be a deadbeat. He would have no career. I guess UFC. So maybe that's not fair. Maybe UFC. I guess, like, if we're translating abilities to the real world. But then that applies to most of the characters. Frankie, I think actually Frankie's low-key a good pick. I think I just wouldn't like Frankie as a brother-in-law. I think Frankie would be a good pick as a partner, because he has a sensitive side. He's good with, like, he's good around the house, right? Like, as a mechanic, like, fix things. He'll have a good career. He'd probably build a really, really nice house, you know? So it'd be nice to visit. But I don't think I would like Frankie as a brother-in-law, because he's kind of like, he's just a little too wild, and, you know, like, I just don't think I would like having dinner with somebody like Frankie, who's, like, yelling all the time and yelling super and, like, talking about robots all the time. So that's a personal preference thing. Yeah. Yeah, I think if we assume that Luffy has his physical capabilities, then he would still be a good moneymaker, but money is only, like, a small part of, like, a successful partnership, you know? Like, if it wasn't, then, you know, you wouldn't see a lot of the richest guys in the world getting divorced or whatever, right? But you kind of go down the list, it's like, okay, Bezos didn't work out, Musk didn't work out, Gates didn't work out, right? Like, so money is only one part of it. Like, would Luffy actually be a good partner? No. Luffy would be a nightmare partner for my sister. So I think, yeah, I think, and then after that, we're just getting to things that are crazy options, like fucking Brooke, who's a skeleton, you know? We don't even have to get to the personality and stuff. Brook is a skeleton. Jinbe is a fish. Like, these are not options. Chopper, that's just bestiality. Jinbe, I would argue, is also bestiality. So, and then Brook is what? What's it called? Necrophilia, right? So if we look at just the normal stride dudes, I'd say Usopp would be the best choice. Then I would be, if my sister dated a guy like Usopp, I'd be happy. I'd say Frankie would probably work for her. I think personality, actually knowing it's tricky. Okay, knowing my sister, she would be happy with a Sanji type personality. She can be a little bit demanding and like wanting things a certain way and stuff like that without saying too much. Sanji would go along with that best, but I think Sanji's such a, like, there's a balance here, right? Sanji's such a disgustingly heinous pervert by real world standards that I would never want him dating my sister. So I think I'd put Sanji last. I think I'd put Usopp first. I think then I'd say like Frankie, then maybe Luffy, and then Zoro. Zoro would just be a terrible partner. Newport's Poppy says, just suspend disbelief and discuss their personalities, lol. I mean, Brook's also fucking, like, there's so many things you could say about Brook. Fine, let's suspend disbelief. He's still a 90-year-old man, right? That's part of who he is, right? He's also a giant pervert like Sanji. Like, there's so many things that disqualify Brook. Anyway. Jordan Vance says, fishmen are people who can breathe underwater. That's it. No. No, they're not. If they were, then they would just look like fucking they would just look like Zoro, but with the magic ability to breathe underwater. You pull up a photo of a fishman, it does not look like a normal human. It looks like a fucking fish and human hybrid. They're not just people who can breathe underwater. That's fucking insane. A person that can breathe underwater, that's cool. That's a superpower. A person that's half human, half literal fish, that's that's not the same thing. Zoro's also fucking musty? Yeah. Hot take, I don't think Sanji would cheat on his wife. Yeah, I don't think cheating would be the issue. It's just like straight up, he is like just such a disgusting pervert. Like, just so disgustingly perverted. You wouldn't want him dating your sister. Pre-time skip Sanji, different story. That's the exact type of person that you would want for your family member. Now, if we swap it, right? So I don't have a brother, but if we were to say, which Straw Hats would I be most comfortable? Let's say dating my best friend, right? Like, who would treat them right? I would say then Robin and then Nami. Pretty simple. Robin and then Nami. Because, I mean, I think that requires very little explanation. Robin is, how to explain it? I guess it's easier to say why Nami would not be a good partner. She's very, very materialistic, extremely materialistic, right? So, like, she would be a very, very high maintenance woman. We all know that. And then on top of that, she is, like, just knowing my best friend, I think he wouldn't deal well with, because my best friend, he's like a bit of a softie. So, like, I don't think he would deal well with a woman who was quite as dictatorial as Nami is. If we're getting real, I know he was in a relationship in the past where that did not work out well for him. So, yeah, just some stuff to consider there. Anyway, that's a fun question. Robin would literally be the perfect partner. Yeah, Robin she's very, very easygoing. I mean, people want different things in partners, right? But if I were to say, like, well, what would create the most stress-free life for a friend of mine, then it would probably be, Robin would be a generally stress-free life. She just wants to read her books. She's easygoing. That's pretty much it. Just wants to be cared for. That's it. Okay, continuing on. Aether GN, thanks for being a Pirate King tier member for 37 months. Definitely get your Pirate King podcast submission in. Yeah, definitely get your Pirate King podcast submission. Also, let's get stream likes up to 50 real quick. Pirate King podcast submissions close tomorrow because I'll be recording tomorrow. And then the full hour-and-a-half long podcast will come out Thursday. If somebody wants to get their question in, you guys can still get your questions in tonight. Just make sure you get it in tonight. And if you want to support by joining Pirate King tier, you get the questions into the podcast, you get to listen to the podcast and all previous podcasts, then definitely just consider supporting. Gunko fears Nika. Killing him fears Zaza. Do the rest of the knights fear varied gods, or just Zaza with Gunko being the odd one out? I think that's a really good question. I think it varies. It sounds like it varies. Let's read the Viz translation, because Gunko we know is also not a traditional god's knight. She seems to have had a more complicated route to get. I don't think she has her natural autonomy, right? For those of us born above the clouds, the idea of the blah, blah, blah. I also like that Zaza has her own song. Let's see. That thing is terrifying for all of us. I wouldn't be surprised if Zaza is more widely feared by the Celestial Dragons. I wouldn't be surprised if Zaza is more widely feared. Grizzly Adams, thanks for the 5. Agreed, but that's why I said not necessarily a devil fruit, a narrative connection, or a small portion of their power. Nami taking a piece of Zaza like Zeus. Yeah, I'm down for Nami to take a piece of Zaza's power like Zeus. I think I get what you're saying now. I think that would definitely fit her. I wouldn't be surprised if in the fight that she steals that. Because the other thing with Nami is Zeus fits her not just because it's like lightning abilities and stuff, but because Nami stole Zeus. A lot of people don't even talk about this part, but Nami, before she had any powers, right? Way back, like at the original, starting point of her story, her thing is that she's a thief. Like underneath all of this like weather witch magic that she's got, Nami, first and foremost, she's a thief. She's a cat burglar or whatever, right? She steals. I think it's so fitting that she stole Zeus from Big Mom, and that's now become her main source of power. Nami stealing, part of the essence of this MMA or something, that would be perfect as well. Growth Stunks, thanks for the 5. I wonder if she can somehow capture it in a weather egg or something. It's never been 100% clear to me how the weather eggs function. Also, let's get the streamlights up to 50 real quick. Growth Stunks, thanks for the 5. Chapter 906, Emu Chamber is a shrine of mementos for the 7 gods that they knew. Oh, interesting. Chapter 1119, War God. Chapter 1119, War God. Chapter 193, Death God. Chapter 287, Sun, Rain, Forest, Earth God. Chapter 442, Sea God. Hold up. Let's take a trip down memory lane. Let's look at some of these. Okay. Growth Stonks, you might have just dropped an amazing comment. Let's look at 119. Oh, shit. Is this the Viz translation? Okay. This is actually deeply upsetting for me. So this is the site that I used to use. I mean, I still use. I have it bookmarked. This is the site that I used for my translations, okay? And for pulling up colored images. So it's the same site, but there's colored version of images and stuff like that. Here's the thing. At some point in the last, I'd say 3 months, they did something. Before, they had good translations. Then, all of a sudden, they redid the whole site with Viz translations. Now, you might be saying, why? What's wrong with Viz translations? Viz translations are accurate. Not pre-time skip. Pre-time skip. So, Viz translations nowadays, post-time skip, they hired Stephen Paul. Stephen Paul, even though his dialogue is not the best in lots of spots, the accuracy is much better. Pre-time skip, One Piece famously has, I don't even know, terrible doesn't even begin to describe it. It has abysmal translations because the translations are fundamentally wrong, both in accuracy and in terms of just readability. Like, they don't have either of the two aspects, right? Like, I'd say nowadays Viz is really good in terms of accuracy. but the dialogue itself reads kind of in a not natural way. But pre-time skip, it's just blatantly wrong translations, like fundamentally wrong translations, where you can point to iconic One Piece scenes and moments, and you go and read the pre-time skip Viz translations, it's just not even close to the same thing. Like, all of One Piece's most iconic quotes, if you go through Viz early, like, pre-time skip, it's something, it's, like, totally different. It'll be like Blackbeard, instead of a man's dream never ends, it's like, a man's dream, it won't stop, or some shit like that. Like, I'm so serious. It's fucked up. And this was one of the last few good sites where you could see all of the good translations for pre-time skip. It's genuinely, anyway. Yeah, God of War, I know what you mean. It's mentioned in this, in this chapter. God of War, but the thing is, the War God, it's referring to a Devil Fruit user in this case. So it's referring to the Nidhogg Devil Fruit user. So that's unfortunately crossed off of the list right there. Let me see what you're talking about with 193. Right, it's talking about the Elbaf Nidhogg user that became known as a God of War, but that doesn't mean that in the past there was a mythology surrounding a God of War. This is just downright sad. I always forget about this. Okay, Pluton, named for the god of death. That is true. I forgot about that with Pluton. That's a very good point. Very good point. Death god, yeah. 442, the sea god. I don't remember this. Oh! Thriller Bark shit. Oh, shit. A treasure offering to the sea god. Oh my god. Okay, so it is. So I'm gonna cross off War God because that's now known to just be like a dude. But Death God being referenced. The thing is, I want to see like the good translations. I want to see the good translations. I need to see that. Like, did they say God of Death originally? I don't know. Yeah, sometimes his dialogue is too extra, like make it normal, dude. So, funnily enough, Stephen Paul's translations are generally known to be better before he became the official Viz translator. Once he became the official Viz translator, again, his dialogue retained the accuracy, but it started to sound really weird. Whereas pre-time skip, in the fandom, Stephen Paul was generally known for having the best translations. TCB still has them, don't they? Says Henchme987. TCB, they might. I can check that, but TCB, they only started doing their translations like around Wano, so I don't know. I know Pluton's a ship. I'm saying that it was named after a god of war. Therefore, a devil fruit might have been created for, I know for the god of death. You know. Yeah, there could still be what do you call? 50-minute stream and no talk of the Wit remake. Okay, let me get through the supers and we'll talk about that. Give me a second. Tiptio says Sanji needs to get bricked and turn Zaza into steam. Okay. Tom, thanks for the 5-man. What if Lunarians have a natural affinity for armament/conquers hockey like the Sky people have a natural affinity for observation hockey? You could explain the durability. I don't know if any one group has a natural affinity for like a certain type of hockey. I always figured that the Sky people just have a natural affinity for observation because like when a culture develops, then certain things are shared to some degree. You know what I mean? It's kind of like in Wano, Rio is very well known. It's not, I don't think it's because the people of Wano are more naturally inclined to have Rio. It's just they grew up with a culture where teaching Rio is more common. So you have more characters who develop Rio, you know? It's kind of like, again, Amazon Lily, everyone there has armament hockey. So I always figured that's the case with the Sky people, but that is an interesting theory about the Lunarians. that they're just physically No, because yeah, maybe it's possible. Maybe they all just naturally have really strong armament or conqueror's coding or something. But I never got the sense that King has conqueror's coding. And it's tied to their flames, so I feel like it's more of a biological trait, kind of like Sanji's got the really strong exoskeleton. So I don't know. Ignorant Weed, thanks for being a Pirate King tier member for 28 months, man. I fear I'm legit starting to hate Jinbe. I never hated a One Piece character before. From S tier side character to complete failure of a Straw Hat. His heyday as a Straw Hat was 3 chapters at the start of Egghead. Hindrance to the story. So what's funny is that Jinbe has slowly grown on me over time. The less obtrusive he's been. Because my thing with Jinbe that made me dislike him was just, one, he feels very different from the rest of the Straw Hats. Not because he's a fish, if that's what you guys are insinuating. Not because he's a fish, but just because his process of like joining the crew and becoming Luffy's companion felt so different, number one. And 2, I didn't care for his personality. His personality is literally, it's fucking cardboard. It is like the most filler personality imaginable to me. And then point number 3 is that to me he filled the role, like when he was initially made to join the group, he took up the role of too many other characters in a sense. Like, I talked about this before, but he started to be one to like really give Luffy lots of advice initially early on, and I was like, okay, this is eating into what Zoro often does or Nami often does, right? Jinbe had a lot of knowledge about the New World, and before that, like post time skip, Robin had already started to be relegated for many hundreds of chapters to just being used for exposition dumps about the state of the world or like certain knowledge things for Luffy. But then Jinbe started doing that. Jinbe took being a helmsman from fucking Frankie. Jinbe became the water guy, whereas before Sanji was kind of the underwater guy. That was Sanji's like special ability, you know? Jinbe arguably even contended with Sanji. Like, there was a fair argument for some period of time that Jinbe might be stronger than Sanji until we got to the final fights of Wano, right? So for a long time, it felt like Jinbe was just kind of eating up roles for other Straw Hats at a period of time where the Straw Hats were all really fighting for screen time and getting very, very little. And now Oda's adding in another character. It just felt like, it felt wrong to me. Like, Oda's already sidelining the Straw Hats so much and giving them so little, and their dialogue is already like the pie that they get for dialogue is already getting shrunk and shrunk and shrunk. And now Oda adds in another character into the crew who's got no personality, and on top of that, he eats into a lot of the other characters' like little ways that they can contribute, and it stacks up over time. I've slowly come to like Jinbe more the more that he's been sidelined, because now it's just like, now I feel bad for the character, kind of like, it's like, Jinbe, he's like a Straw Hat too. Like, it's cool to see Jinbe get a little bit of love here and there. Now I'm just like, now it doesn't feel like he's fighting. Now it doesn't feel like the other Straw Hats are like losing out because Jinbe's there. If anything, it feels like Oda's giving some more love to the rest of the Straw Hats, and now I feel a little bad for old Jinbe. I'm like, he's now just a postal worker, sometimes a firefighter. Might have been passed up by Frankie, honestly, in terms of strength, ever since Frankie just got that power up a few chapters ago. So it's okay. Yeah. Teptio says, check the panel when Omen turned into steel/bullets. Okay. I guess I'll just... The panel where it happened, or the panel where Zoro talks about it? I'm gonna look at the panel where Zoro talks about it, because I'm kind of curious about that. Where does Zoro talk about this? Where's the end of the chapter? Okay. But what's with those black flames? Is this the Viz? I don't think this is the Viz. I think I'm still looking at TCB's translation. Let me see. Viz. Did they not usually the site updates it. Usually they update it. Let me see. Yeah, okay, let's see. That black flame, though, it was transforming into steel bullets and bombs. That's so interesting that it literally turns into physical items. What I'm afraid of. I hate that. Why does Viz call them sleep tids? What the fuck is that shit? Great emu's body's not meant to withstand the outside. I like how Sommers is lecturing killing him like Sommers hasn't been fucking up this whole arc. Okay, it says after the people of D and Nika, it was the most common boogeyman they warned us about. So I feel like Nika is probably still higher up the list for most people. It's just that killing him specifically is most afraid of a rain god. Interesting. All right. All right, continuing on. Kalal Brown, thanks for the 5. The scale of Zaza is just crazy. She's making the giants look like ants. I wonder if Demonio Fleur can match it. Maybe the Strats will debut new power-ups. Yeah, I mean, like, it's this... But, I mean, the other MMAs have also been similarly big. So I don't think it's, like, that groundbreaking. But the power is obviously higher. I do hope it makes the Strats debut new power-ups. I think that'd be really good. Andrew Chung, 6731, thanks for the 5. Heard you're marketing to attorneys, so am I. Can you hook me up with some connections? No, unfortunately, I think that puts us in a bit of competition. But, you know, if you have a proposal for something, feel free to shoot an email to the More Gmail. Anyway. All right, let's talk about the One Piece. Let's talk about it. So, what I'm seeing is basically, oh, okay, you know what? Let's look at the wiki article also. It'll have the most information possible. Okay. It is the first full-length readaptation of the series, blah, blah, blah. It says first full-length readaptation, okay? So full-length. So what does that mean? I've seen people shitting on, like, some of the mock-ups and stuff like that. I disagree. I think the style looks good. I think we need to see it. The 7 episodes is so disappointing. I don't care that they're all released at once. I don't mind that at all. I don't mind that at all because... Okay, let me get some temperature gauges on some stuff, okay? So first of all, I think the thing that I mind is that it's only covering 50 chapters. I know... Okay, so I brought this up before on a separate stream where I talked about how, like, anime release schedules are getting really, really long and really, really out there, right? And people are having to wait a really long time to get through series, right? But here I think that it's... And people told me, like, Morge, you're being too impatient or whatever. I don't think so. I think the fact that... Like, I use Jujutsu Kaisen as the example. I think the fact that it was, like, what? 3 years? How long? Like, 3 years, right? Before we got from Shibuya Incident to Culling Games. And then partway through the Culling Games, they revealed that they're not even going to cover the Culling Games. They're just going to cover half a season of the Culling Games. And then, in fact, they're not even going to call it a core. They're going to call that a full season. And now we're going to wait another, God knows how long, year, 2 years or something for part 2, right? I thought that that's a little bit extreme. You know, but people said that I'm wrong. That's fine. You know, we have different opinions. It is what it is, right? I think this is getting really extreme. Like, they're working on this for years and years. Season 1 being 7 episodes? I've never heard of that in a modern... Like, nowadays it's considered short if a season is just 13 episodes, right? Like Dandadan was 13 episodes. That was considered a relatively short season. Normally that's just a core, right? But now we're getting to a point where, like, seasons are just about 13 episodes. This is half of that. This is 7 episodes. Even if the episodes are longer than usual, how can you spend the season only covering the first 50 chapters? That's just mind-blowing. 50 chapters. Like, there's got to be a limit where we are allowed to have some level of complaint, which is like, it's One Piece. This is 1,100 chapters. I think it's fair to complain when you see a series start and you're like, okay, is this something that can even be completed in my lifetime before I'm like 50 or something like that? Like, that's like, who, you know what I mean? Like, One Piece fans, if you're remaking it, we should be able to experience the series done right, because Toei did it wrong for so many fucking years. I don't know. I don't know. They have a budget. One Piece is the highest selling series in the world. It's the highest, like, it's the most sold, not even manga, most sold comic of all time. They've got the money. And obviously the live action's got to be helping stuff. I don't know. I think 50 chapters per season is fine if it's a once a year release. 50 chapters per season, once a year release. So it's like, what, 4 years to get through. No, even with 4 years, they don't get through Alabasta. Because Alabasta ends at around 218, right? 6 years to get through Skypiea. I mean, well, I guess I'll just do the whole math, right? 50 chapters. I mean, and later on the chapters get... The thing that really throws me is that, like, chapters now are not like chapters were back then. Back then, chapters are very light. So 50 chapters is really, really, really not a lot of material. It's very little material. Because One Piece chapters back then were very short. Very, very short. Nowadays, chapters cover more, right? People use that as an excuse for why the anime covering like one chapter per episode isn't the worst thing in the world. But it is, you know. But it's just like, I don't even know what I'm going to feel watching this remake, because like, even if it's like a perfect adaptation of East Blue, it's just, it's like, I don't even know how I'd feel excited, because it would be 20 years before we're getting, like, I'd be 50 before we're getting to anywhere close to modern One Piece, right? And even my favorite storylines, right, we're years and years out from that. Like Enies Lobby, Marineford and stuff. We're years out. Like at least 10 years out from something like Marineford. More like 12, 13. I mean, you know what? It is what it is, right? It is what it is. It's just restarting the series from scratch. It's just restarting the series from scratch. So, like, I guess all I can say is, like, I'll be curious to watch it. I'm getting upset, but that's just because it's like, you know, I guess I'm realizing that it's not a series that's for me. It's a series that's for people who are, I don't know, it's really not a series for us, right? It's a series for the next generation of One Piece fans. So I guess there's nothing to be upset about, really. I guess it's just sad that, you know, I guess all this does, you know what? All this does is make me more upset with Toei. Because they had their chance. They had their chance to change things and fix things, but for years they didn't, and now the post-time skip is fucked. Pre-time skip was always like a little bit wonky, but like doable. But they fucked things up so bad that now the whole anime has to be redone at the same time that the anime is currently running. And I still I have not true hate, but I have strong dislike in my heart for all the people that propped up Toei for years being like, no, it's fine because they deliver like one good action clip every like 10 episodes or something like that. And it's like, because you guys are watching them and giving them views, they don't need to change anything, right? It obviously finally reached a point where like they realized, okay, we do need to make a change just to keep up with modern anime, right? And they went seasonal. But fucking Toei Defenders enabled them to like ruin the anime for years. And like I hated the argument for so long that it's like, oh, Morge, they can't change it. It's like One Piece is supposed to be weekly. This is how long, they've got a tight schedule. They can only do this and that and stuff like that. It's like every other anime is seasonal. Like, this is not a proper production for One Piece. You guys are deluding yourselves into believing that it is and like giving them every excuse under the sun. And then what do you know? Turns out that they are fine just going seasonal. Like, it just took a lot of fucking shit up before they were okay with finally like being like, yeah, we'll go seasonal. Maybe they would have gone seasonal earlier if people stopped fucking blindly defending Toei for so long. It's not the One Piece's fault. It just wants to put out a good production, even if it's at an egregious pace. It's not for us, right? It's for the next generation of One Piece fans. And I guess they kind of did the math and were like, is it better to do one season every couple years where we cover about 100 chapters, or give people like a steady drip of content every year? They went with steady drip of content every year. I think that if I were a new One Piece fan, I think I would prefer that, because I'm just trying to think about like series that I like. I think generally I prefer, let's use Jujutsu Kaisen as an example. If Jujutsu Kaisen got out like even like 8 episodes a year instead of doing like 3 years, like spending 3 years to get out 24 episodes or something like that, right? Let's pretend that was the math. I think I would prefer the 8 episodes a year rather than the long waits. So I think that this is preferable. I think that this is preferable if I'm really cooling down and thinking about it. Because it's not about Wit. It's about Toei. And it's Toei's fault that they put us in this situation. It's Toei's fault and all of the Toei angels that defended it for so long. They should have just started post-time skips as Henchme 987. No, because I think they're redoing, like, are they still, they remade Fishman Island, right? So Toei remade Fishman Island. I personally think that if you're redoing the series, just redo it from scratch. I don't think it's good to break up productions, because there's such a change in style and feel and tone that I want One Piece to feel like a congruent experience. It's just that I personally imagine One Piece will end around chapter 1350, around then. 1350, so that's what, 27 years? Let's round it up to 30, because I think as the chapters get later on, the chapters are more densely packed. So at a certain point, they might not even be adapting 50 chapters per season. So let's say 30 years. Maybe more. So when I'm 60, I'll be able to sit down and watch One Piece in a proper format from start to finish. When I'm 60. Julian Reed, thanks for the 2. The animators need more time, not more money. Yeah, but can't you get more teams? That's my question. Can't you get more teams on it? You know? I've heard differing things about like the time versus money thing, right? Like the budget does matter, I know, to a degree. Anders says, I do not care for composite piece. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, and how would you even explain to new people how to get in? This is just restarting One Piece for a new generation. Just got to look at it like that. And Toei truly fucked up the generation that, we came up watching One Piece with. They didn't say they were adapting 50 chapters per year. It would be really cool if they did it like 2 releases per year and got out 50 and then another 50. I think that'd be really cool. But I just don't know why. Like, why not just release it all in one go then? I mean, Netflix isn't dumb, so I know that they've done their math on what works best here. I guess where I fall is like if the difference was 100 chapters covered in a season, but you've got 2-year gaps between seasons. Again, like I just said, 100 chapters covered per season, but you got a 2-year gap between seasons. Then I would prefer that they do 50 per season and get something out every year. That would be my preference. If it was like, yeah, I think that would be my preference. I think that'd be my preference. But if the difference is like they can actually get 100 chapters out per year, but they prefer to split that up between like this like 2 different points of the year, then I think I would rather they batch it together. Does that make sense? So like I think for me, I think everyone's got different timelines, right? So I think I'm down to wait a year between batches of content. Yeah, but if you take that same batch of content and you're like, well, we'll split it up between like every 6 months, I think I'd prefer to get it all out at once. It's complicated. It's complicated. I think for me, I just know what I've noticed with myself with shows, and it doesn't matter, like forget anime, right? Forget anime. Talk about other shows, right? Doesn't matter, right? For me, like other live action TV series nowadays, in my opinion, seasons of TV, like I'm old school. I grew up when times made sense and seasons of TV meant like each year you're going to get one season of that show, you know? Season 1, 2001. Season 2 comes out next year in 2002. Season 3 comes out the next year in 2003. It's all that's how, call me crazy, but that's how TV is supposed to work. You're like that's supposed to be how TV works, okay? That's just my opinion, all right? I grew up with that. That's what made sense. That's how everything worked for a long time. Nowadays, it's like seasons don't mean anything. It's kind of just like, here's a season, now wait. Anything to me over 2 years is too long of a wait for TV. Like, I think that TV has no business doing 2-year breaks between seasons. Animation, I understand, is different because animation, it just functions differently. Like, the amount of time and effort to put out something quality. So I give anime more leeway for waiting time. But now we're reaching a point where most high-produced anime are waiting like 3 years between seasons. You've got shit like Chainsaw Man. I don't even know when season 1 came out. Will it have been like 6 years or something before season 2 of Chainsaw Man comes out? I don't know. Like, that's unreasonable to me. But yeah, that's just, I'm kind of wandering with my thoughts there. But to me, I'm accustomed to waiting about a year between TV series, seasons. I think that's normal. So that's why I'm pretty comfortable with, maybe just based on the way I grew up, if they want to release 50 chapter batches every year, I like that. That's good. That's also why for me with anime, I would prefer, it's like, okay, if you guys are going to if it takes you 3 years to make 24 episodes, I would much rather you put out 8 episodes a year and call that a season. That's my preference. I think that just keeps the flow of things going a lot better. And I think that's just how TV is meant to function, personally. 2 to 3 years between seasons kills hype and interest. I 100% agree. And I've seen it happen with so many live action shows. So many live action shows. Yeah, Game of Thrones final season waited 2 years instead of 1. That was actually one of the first things my mind went to, which was like, there's only been one time. I think there was 2 times that I can remember that, like out of shows that I really loved, there was like a longer gap than a year between seasons. I think Breaking Bad's final season, it took place over a longer period of time. They split the season up into 2 parts and they like released it with some bigger gaps. But it wasn't crazy. It wasn't like 2-3 years, right? And then Game of Thrones, it came out like one season every year, over and over and over and over again. And Game of Thrones is as high production quality as any show out there right now, if not more so, right? And then it was before the final season that they were like, okay, the final season, this is the grand finale. For this one, it's going to be a 2-year gap. And I remember that was huge news at the time. It was like, oh my God, everybody's so excited for the next season of Game of Thrones. We all think it's going to be next year. They announced it's going to be a 2-year wait. And that was big news at that time. That was like, oh my God, we're actually going to have to wait 2 years for it, but it's going to be worth it because it's fucking Game of Thrones season finale. That was the biggest TV juggernaut at the time. And on top of that, they announced that, it would be 8 episodes. So like it would be more, I think it was supposed to be like more episodes than usual or something like that. Or maybe that was for season 7. I forget. Like there were some things that made it feel like, okay, for this instance, it's worth it, right? Like it's worth it. Obviously the final season was bad, but Game of Thrones kind of earned over time that sort of like, okay, we can wait an additional year, even though you're a fucking TV show, so you're supposed to come out every year because that's kind of the deal here, right? Game of Thrones was like, give us 1 more year. And we're like, you've earned it, Game of Thrones. We will wait for that. Nothing else is like that. Nothing else is like that, Like, there's no shows out there right now that deserve multiple year gaps between seasons. There's no shows out there right now that are that good that deserve multiple year gaps with seasons. It didn't start with Game of Thrones. I just talked about Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad's the one other thing. And those were 2 shows that earned the right to be like, hey, we really want to pull out all the stops for the finale. Let us get some more time. Yeah, Game of Thrones and Breaking Bad. You point to me another show out right now that's at that quality where it's like, yeah, if you need another year for your final season, then that's fine. For your final season. Not every fucking season. You're supposed to put out TV every year. I don't know. Stranger Things, yeah. Tapia says the Gap TV show started with Breaking Bad season 5. Dude, I already said that. But you are right. House of the Dragon, I don't know what's going on. Anyway. Severance? I'm on season 2 of Severance right now. My girlfriend and I are actually watching that. I think we're 1 episode in. Severance is good. It's good. But it's not there's no reason they shouldn't be coming out with a season every year. There isn't. It's like, it's not a crazy high budget show. It's not as high budget as Game of Thrones. It doesn't actually have that many sets. It doesn't have that many sets. It doesn't have that many... It doesn't even have that big of a cast of characters. There's no reason. Most of the sets of Severance are all in the fucking Lumen building. There's no reason. Severance is obviously a very good show, but it's a great show. It's a really, really it hooks you really well. But it's not a cultural juggernaut like Breaking Bad or Game of Thrones, and it doesn't have, even compared to Breaking Bad, Severance is not shot with the level of complexity that Breaking Bad is. The scene direction of Severance is very, very good. Scene direction of Severance is very good. It hangs with any other show out there. But in terms of like variety of sets, size of cast of characters, etc., there's no reason that show should not be coming out yearly. Peacemaker I haven't watched, and I'm not watching any Star Wars spin-off shows. Miss Dono, my bad. Hold on. Kakashi Snitch 9, thanks for the 5. Morge, how did you feel about Netflix's Steel Ball Run release schedule? I thought it was really stupid. Here's my simple view on it. I haven't watched episode 1 because there's no point. Why would I sit here and watch episode 1 and get like invested in the Steel Ball Run story and journey and like get excited about all of it when I have to wait till December before I can actually continue? Like, it doesn't even make sense. Did they think that they put out a movie? Because they didn't put out a movie. They put a longer than usual episode out. But the whole concept of TV, like the whole reason that this works, it's like you got to pick a lane. Either you're a movie where you're going all in on something really, really big budget and spectacular or whatever, yada yada, and it's for like a single, like wrapped up in a bow package that's like 2 to 3 hours and you're delivering that, right? Ideally for big screens, etc., right? Either you're doing that, and that's one form of storytelling, or your fucking TV show, in which case it's episodic storytelling. Episodic meaning you're bringing people along beat by beat by beat by beat, and you're kind of keeping people on this train that's going. It's not supposed to be a train that just stops after like 3 stops, and then it's like, sayonara, the train is just going to be gone for like 3 years or something, and then we'll come back, and hopefully you're still fucking excited. Like, the whole concept of TV is meant to be like, it's something you're revisiting, and you're like really living in the story over an extended period of time. And the 1 year break is supposed to be like after we've been fed like a good 13 or 20 something episodes, and it's like, okay, that's good. Now you take the half year, get us some more stuff, you come back, you bring us back in the story, you know? Jordan Vance says, I think corporations need to stop treating TV shows like limited movies. It's TV. Exactly. I mean, but a lot of it, I've read the explanation multiple times. Most of it has to do with how things changed with streaming. Streaming really changes things based on how streaming companies okay production schedules and stuff like that. And also, there's the advent of more high-end actors that are joining TV series, because it becomes harder to coordinate schedules, you know? But I don't care if there's high-end actors in my TV shows. I'm from a time where, like, TV actors were TV actors. Maybe you blew up through TV, but I didn't care that Bryan Cranston wasn't fucking Brad Pitt or whatever. Henchme987, thanks for the 5. Who wins in racism scaling? Full body blackface, drip appropriating Virgo, or King of Hal minority hunting Zorro? Full body blackface? I don't remember this. Drip appropriating... I'm just going to say King of Hal minority hunting Zorro. I'll say that. Stopping a middle of Baratier is so random. Yeah, I think minority... King of Hal, that's a funny one. I haven't heard of that. Stopping in the middle of Baratier is so random. Yeah, that's the confusing thing to me too, which is like, I think narratively it's not even a good place to stop. Like, East Blue is such a loose story as is. It's only got 2 real bigger picture beats. One is Mihawk's arrival, and 2 is really like once it concludes Arlong Park, because that, like, Nami's storyline is the only like long running storyline in season 1. So maybe it'll end with like Mihawk's arrival as a tease. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know how I got on a rant with TV shows. You know what? Part of the reason it's bothering me is because I'm watching The Sopranos right now. I'm getting close to finishing season 4. No Sopranos spoilers. I've already been spoiled on some stuff that's like truly crazy from my perspective. But yeah, with The Sopranos, I'm partway through. I'm almost through season 4, and I'm just like, goddamn. So back then, they just got Sopranos seasons every single year. That makes so much sense. That's normal. That makes perfect sense. And there's no show running right now that I think is as good as The Sopranos, as far as I know. The budget is obviously lower. That's one thing I'll say, which is The Sopranos, you can tell, like, moments where action needs to happen. Sometimes it's kind of good, but, like, for TV standards. But mostly when action needs to happen, like, sometimes things are a little like, okay, that wasn't that good. Yeah, Mihawk introduction cliffhanger, Nami taking the Mary to leave. Yeah, I agree. Mihawk versus Zora's the final episode? That would be pretty cool. Seasons mean yearly Morge back in the days. I know, that's what my rant was about. Growing up, if a season of Monk ended, then that meant it was over for the year. But next year we get another one, and then another one, and then another. That's what a season was. The only times that you get a gap is if you're like a huge show like Breaking Bad or Game of Thrones, and it's like, okay, we've hit such a high cultural status that would you excuse us if we take a little bit longer, just a little bit, not like 2 years, just 1 extra year break to do this. Did you answer my super chat, says Andrew Chung? I did. You say you're a competitor. I said that if you have a proposition, you can reach out through email. That's all. Hype for Doomsday, Avengers Doomsday. So I'll say this. Um, I'm not hyped for Doomsday, but they have successfully done one thing, which is I'm curious. It's kind of just like curious, because like Marvel is this gigantic. It's like the Titanic, right? But it's kind of like we are circling this area where it's like, okay, should the Titanic have like celebrated a successful voyage and just docked, and then you start a new boat, send out a new boat or something, or is the Titanic on its way to like hitting an iceberg at this point, right? Because as far as I know, Marvel's kind of just been like dicking around for its entire Phase 4 or Phase 5 or whatever the fuck we're in. I've enjoyed some stuff in isolation. Like I liked Spider-Man, Spider-Man No Way Home, right? No Way Home is the one with the three Spider-Man, right? If you're like me and you grew up watching the Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans and like tolerating the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies, then it was just cool to see. I think it did the concept about as effectively as you could. I liked that one. I liked Spider-Man No Way Home. I enjoyed Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts was kind of fun in theaters. There's no overarching story though, right? So they're trying to force one, even though they abandoned the Kang thing. So there's no real overarching linchpin thing. So they're trying to pull out all the stops with like, okay, let's do Robert Downey Jr. I think they're bringing back Captain America and shit. Like, they're just trying to pull out all the stops. I'm curious, right? What else did I see Marvel? I saw Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four was insanely, it was so bad. And the sad thing is, it was almost good. Because I was vibing with the Fantastic Four for the first half of the movie. And then everything like, the problem with the Fantastic Four movie, I don't know if you guys even know what I'm talking about here if you haven't seen it, but the problem with the Fantastic Four movie comes at the halfway point when the central crux of the conflict becomes like absurd. It just becomes fucking stupid. And like the characters become extremely irritating and defending really stupid decisions, and like just everyone on Earth acts in a way that nobody ever would. It just becomes the dumb. It's suddenly it has a really good vibe, and I think good casting and good chemistry and good feel and everything for the first half. So I was actually really enjoying it. Halfway point, when they explain the deal with the baby, the ultimatum with the baby, it turns into one of the stupidest plots I've ever seen in any movie ever. And I'm like, isn't Marvel like a huge studio? Like, who okayed this? Like, didn't people read this script and were like, this is fucking batshit like idiotic? I don't know. Anyway, so what do you call? Fantastic Four was bad. Like, and there's again, bigger thing is no overarching plot really forming here. No overarching plot forming. So there's been some good stuff with Marvel, been some really stupid stuff. They're just trying to throw everything at the wall, it feels like, with Doomsday to see if it works. So I'm curious, because like, even if I'm kind of like over Marvel a little bit, I want to see what they try and pull out. Like, this is their big final Hail Mary. If this one doesn't work, like, it tells you like how much pull do they still have. If this one doesn't work, then it's kind of like they probably have to, I don't think they're fucked. I think they just have to reset the whole universe and like start doing this thing again from scratch, maybe a different style. But you need, I don't think they can do this thing where they continue to have the universe where all your favorite characters existed live on, but now without those favorite characters, right? So like Iron Man gone, Captain America gone, even obviously like Black Panther, like rest in peace. Thor turned into a joke, like, you know, like, and it's trying to push new characters, but it's like, no, we fell in love with the original characters. Like, people enjoyed the original characters, right? So, and different storylines kind of reaching their natural end, like Guardians of the Galaxy. So they either need to reset the whole thing and start fresh, or accept that people aren't just going to accept continually pushing, like, hey, you might have loved, like, Black Panther, but now we've got, like, Shuri, or whatever. Or, hey, you might have loved, like, I don't even know what the replacements are at this point. Like, there's not really, like, who's carrying the torch? Spider-Man? I don't know. Damien Wright 4441 sent laughing disco. What are the discos? What are the discos? What are the jewels? What is this concept? What's the concept? What's the I don't think it's even like over for the MCU if Doomsday doesn't work. I think it's over in the sense that they need to restart, right? It's not like, and it wouldn't be a shameful restart like when DC restarted its universe, because DC like just tried to throw together a universe. It didn't work, and it's like, okay, we really fucked it up. Let's do it again from the ground up. With Marvel, they did it at, like, Marvel movies are far from perfect or anything, but to stitch together a true cinematic universe like that was never before seen. Like, that's groundbreaking in its own right. They should pat themselves on the back for like doing it as well as you could hope for a maiden voyage of this whole concept, right? Dominated the movie industry, changed everything forever, right? The only thing is, like, they may have missed their chance to give it a proper end when they had, and then, you know, they were able to still successfully milk out a lot of money from some movies afterwards. It's just like, okay, you missed the perfect goodbye opportunity, so, like, you know, maybe it was time to start over, you know? It doesn't mean I don't think it means like the MCU like failed or crashed and burned or anything. It's just kind of like they should have restarted it already, you know? Kakashi Snitch 925, thanks for the 2. Did you like the Superman movie? I like the Superman movie. It was fun. I liked it. Great Lex Luthor. I like the Superman casting. I still think Christopher Reeve is a better... I feel like this version of Superman feels like... he feels like the Gen Z version of Superman. Not that he is Gen Z, like, age-wise, but, like, it feels like, you know, a Superman that is, like, a bit more vulnerable, a bit more, like, you know, whatever. Like, he's an enjoyable character. Very down-to-earth, very relatable character, in a sense. Like, I like that Superman. I still think the concept of Superman is best with Christopher Reeve. I wonder if they could translate that type of hero into the modern day. I don't know if audiences are too jaded to accept a character like that necessarily. But I like this Superman. Like, yeah, I just enjoyed the movie overall. Very fun movie. Just a fun movie. Good movie. I think Lex Luthor was the standout for me for that. This is my favorite version of Lex Luthor on screen. I don't think that I've seen a good live action Lex Luthor personally. And there's been four like big screen takes on it, right? So like what Gene Hackman, right? Gene Hackman did Lex Luthor the first time. I just don't think that lines, yeah. I don't think that was a good Lex Luthor. Then I don't even remember who Lex Luthor was in like Superman Returns. And then Jesse Eisenberg, terrible Lex Luthor choice. This was a really good Lex Luthor. Not exactly like comics by any means, but great Lex Luthor. Gen Z Superman gets triggered by hashtag super shit. I like the new Superman a lot. The new Green Lantern? That's not even... that's Guy Gardner, right? I mean, like, technically he's the Green Lantern, but yeah. The best version of Joker, Batman, Lex Luthor, and Superman are in the DC animated universe. I would agree with all of the... I guess, okay, if you want to say comic accurate, right? I would say DCAU does Batman amazingly. Really good Batman. But it's just harder to translate. Like, it's easier to do comic to animation versus comic to live action. It's just easier, right? It's the same way, like, what's more like the manga version of Luffy? Anime Luffy or Iñaki Godoy? Obviously, it's easier to do it in the anime, right? So I don't feel like it's fair to compare animation. Best version of the Joker? I'm going to say it's Heath. I think Heath Ledger... the more comic accurate Joker is obviously the DCAU Joker, but I'm gonna say Heath Ledger. I think Heath Ledger transcends transcends the superhero film genre with that like performance. Like that version of the Joker is like, it's almost like its own thing. You know what I mean? Like there's the Joker as you imagine it from comics and stuff, and then there's forever the Dark Knight Joker, and that's like its own vivid like sort of villain, you know? And then lastly, Superman in the DCAU. I watched the Superman DC. I watched the animated Superman. Didn't like how they did him as much in Justice League, but in the animated Superman, it's good, but he's a little too. Christopher Reeve Superman is a better version of Superman. I'd say Christopher Reeve is the best adaptation of Superman. I still feel like animated Superman in the DCAU a little too stiff and serious. Mark Hamill's Joker is better than Heath Ledger. I mean, you could argue like more, again, if you want to argue more comic accurate, yeah, you could say that. More comic accurate, you could say that, but like Heath Ledger's Joker is like, I think it's transcendent. It becomes its own thing. It's kind of like Tony Stark's take on Iron Man is not the same as what Iron Man was like before in comics or anything, but he became its own thing, you know? The new Superman got no aura? Yeah. I think he's got less aura, but I think that they tried to make him more grounded, more, you know, like more relatable, more grounded type Superman. I think it's the right angle for the director, what they're trying to go for here. I think it works. Is it gonna successfully launch a full animated universe? I don't know. Because getting just one right is the reason Marvel was able to do it over and like was able to get a bunch of movies somewhat right over and over again, with some being very good, some being below average, but a lot of them being like good enough. That was the thing. Marvel did a bunch of movies that were good enough, and then some bangers, some like, you know, you forget about it or whatever. It's because the formula that they did with Iron Man worked perfectly, and they kind of replicated that formula over and over. And it's a very like it was Iron Man was the perfect combination when it came out. I still remember when it came out because I think it came out the same year as The Dark Knight, and it was just like Dark Knight's clearly the better movie, but it was amazing that Iron Man came out the same year as Dark Knight and still felt like a really, really fresh, awesome movie. It wasn't like, oh, Iron Man sucks compared to The Dark Knight. You know, it's just like, that was also a really surprisingly good superhero movie that came out this year. So, and the difference was that with Iron Man, it was like Tony Stark and the way they did everything, the way they worked humor into it, all of that, tongue-in-cheek, etc. That was groundbreaking at the time. Like, it was unlike other superhero movies at the time. It was a breath of fresh air. And it had but it was groundbreaking in a way that was like, oh, we can copy this. We can do this over and over again. So all Marvel movies since then had they all follow similar beats, like straight up the beats of the plot when certain things happen, the points where the villain is introduced, the type of villain that they have for the first outing, all of that. Like, it's all very, very similar. The number of action set pieces that they have per movie, very, very similar. Everything down to a T, and like the infusion of humor, all of that, right? So they're able to replicate it over and over again. That was the real lightning in a bottle with Iron Man. I don't know if like James Gunn's DC Superman, like, do you get what I'm saying? Like, it's like, how do you create like a restaurant chain, right? You want something that's replicable over and over again, right? There's a big difference between like, oh, I made one good restaurant, let me make another good restaurant. It's like, was there a system, right? So that's where the catch potentially comes in, because I don't know, like, the things that made the DC Superman good, we won't, like, creating a franchise, or not a franchise, creating creating a cinematic universe is entirely reliant on having a formula that can be used over and over again, that different directors can call upon, that keeps everything similar and good enough, right? So you need you need aspects of the film that can be like wrapped into like a box, and it's like we can duplicate this box but just paint it different over and over. I don't know if I feel like the DC Superman that just came out, I feel like it was creative in a lot of spots, plot wise, where the twists came in, stuff like that. I don't know how if it can be formalized, right? Because it's way harder to be like, okay, well, let's just make a new good movie 10 times in a row. You can't really do that. Even good directors who are like reliable can't do that. Everybody's got some, some like weak points here and there, etc. Right? Like it's really hard to consistently create like good. Like you look at some of the best directors of all time, like fucking Francis Ford Coppola. Even he's missed with like Godfather Part 3. Like most people would say he's only got like 3, arguably like 4 good movies out of like a gigantic filmography. It's hard to just like be like, oh, we'll just make another good movie 10 times. Make this one about Batman. Make that one about Supergirl. Make that one about Wonder Woman. Make that one about The Flash. Right? Just make a lot of good movies. That's really hard. Marvel work because it's like we can just copy the same movie over and over. I don't know if you can copy what the style of the Superman movie over and over. JP, thanks for the 10. Or sorry, not 10. Thanks for the 20, man. Holy shit, thank you. Fantastic Four, baby being godlike potential due to space exposure sounded so dumb, so I looked it up and all of it was canon. No, that's not my issue with it. That's not my... Oh, shit, my camera just went out. That's not my issue with it. I know Franklin Richards. That's not my issue with it whatsoever. It was them going back to Earth. Hold on, I'll swap the camera in a second. It was them going back to Earth, telling the Earth about the ultimatum that Galactus gave them, and everyone, literally the entire planet, just being like, if Galactus said he's going to destroy the world or your baby, we're all on board to save the baby. And you know how we're going to do it? We're going to teleport the entire planet to a different galaxy. Literally. It's like literally the entire planet just like joins hands and is like, you know what? We'll all fucking die for the sake of your baby. And obviously the Fantastic Four promised like, no, we'll find a way to save you guys. But it was like a very vague statement. Like literally it's just like everybody's rioting about the ultimatum that Galactus gave. Like, I'll destroy your planet or just give me the kid. Right? Everybody, like the entire planet was rioting about it. Then Sue Storm steps outside. She's like, hey, we really love this baby. We love you all, but we really love our baby. So we're like not going to do that, but we'll figure something out. And everyone's like, they said they'll figure something out. We can stop rioting, everybody. And the entire planet's just like, all right, we don't care that, giving up this baby would save literally all of us. Like, fuck our babies. We want to say, like, we'll go along with whatever plan involves saving your baby. It's actually the dumbest thing of all time. It's actually, like, it requires, because some plots require people, I'll turn on another camera in a second. Some plots require individual characters to act, like, in a very, absurd fashion that makes no sense, that no real human would ever act like, right? But the Fantastic Four plot is dumb on a different level because it requires every single human on the planet acting in a manner that no individual ever would. It's actually crazy. It's arguably, it's genuinely up there for the dumbest plot I've ever seen because it basically requires 8 billion humans to act like, I don't know, NPCs in a game or something like that. It's crazy. All right, we're swapping cameras here. Give me a second. Fantastically dumb? Yeah. All right, let me add another camera. All right, there we go. There we go. Fantastic Four is a different world than this world. Yeah, but it's never implied that all the humans on the planet have been replaced with NPCs, so it doesn't matter. Like, the Fantastic Four characters, like, every character that we talk to, like Sue Storm, Johnny Storm, Reed Richards, they all talk and act like normal humans. So it's not like we've been transported to a world where everybody's just like like a golden age comics version of humanity, because that's not the case. If anything, like they have like you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not, it never feels like we've been transported to a world of NPCs. It's just dumb. It's just straight up dumb. If there's like a retcon where it's revealed that like the Fantastic Four accidentally got transported to a world where everybody's like a fake human, you know? And it's just like, we're mad. Don't be mad. Oh, I'm not mad anymore. That, like, if that was what the type of universe they got transported to, then the plot makes sense. But otherwise, it's genuinely got an argument for the least logical plot of all time. Morge camera charging problem again. I realized what I need to do is I need to have a second cord in that camera plugging into something that's charging it. But I have yet to purchase that cord. So maybe I should purchase that cord. Little Emu, thanks for the 2. Do you have a dummy battery for your camera? What's a dummy battery? Oh, no, it's a real battery, I swear. It's a real battery. It just, I think it only records for like, what? How long? How long does it record? Yeah, 1 hour and 45 minutes-ish. Meek, thanks for the 5. Hey, sorry for being late. What's the current consensus looking like for the Wit anime? I think I was upset at first, and then I had to cool down slightly and realized that I was throwing a tantrum for nothing. I was being upset at Wit when actually the problem is Toei. It is Toei's shitty adaptation. There are two problems, Toei and Toei Defenders. It's Toei's shitty adaptation that has put us in a scenario where the series has to be literally redone from scratch while it's still going. Never heard of before in anime, right? But that's how bad we've gotten to. And it's Toei Defenders' fault because they enabled Toei for so long by pretending that there was no issue with how horrendous the anime's pacing had become, right? So these are the two issues. If we'd put pressure on Toei earlier and been like, hey, Fishman Island, this is actual dog shit. Like, what you're doing right now to One Piece with this arc, it's actual dog shit. We all refuse to watch it, right? I know the Western audience only makes up so much of Toei's viewership, right? But if maybe we'd started a worldwide movement and been like, hey, Japanese people, you guys stop watching this too. Like, if we'd made a real stink about it or something, such that it hurt One Piece's viewership in general globally, maybe we could have gotten this shit sorted much earlier and Toei could have just gone seasonal, like it finally fucking has, because it's needed to forever. Maybe it could have gone seasonal, like every other fucking modern anime, 8 years ago or something like that, right? All we had to do would be like, Toei, Dressrosa, this is poop. This is genuine shit. What you are like giving us, right? We are not going to watch this. Go do this again. Give yourself some time. Do it seasonally, right? If we'd all done that, then maybe, you know, we have the functional pre-time skip version of One Piece. It's not, you know, it's rough around the edges. Believe me, I know, like, my girlfriend's watching it right now. We've been stalled in Skypiea for God knows how long because she doesn't really feel that motivated to go sit down and watch another episode of Skypiea, and I can't blame her because I look at, like, the next list of, like, 15 episodes of Skypiea, and I'm like, okay, an interesting thing happens in this episode, and I guess this episode, Chopper fights Gedatsu or something, like, it's fucking slow, okay? So I'm not saying pre-time skip One Piece's anime was perfect, but it was functional, serviceable. That's where most of us fell in love with the series. Post-time skip, it turns to literal crap, right? With the pacing. We should have all just boycotted it then. I technically did. I stopped watching. But we all should have done it, right? I blame every single person who continued to watch Toei past its prime. Because then they could have been forced to go seasonal and just keep up with other anime. And then, you know what? We have a functional series of One Piece, even to this day, you know? And then we don't have to fucking watch it restart. We don't have to have this weird Frankenstein version where it's like, okay, Toei's got their shitty version, but Toei's like remastering old arcs that they fucked up, but then at the same time, this other studio's redoing it from the beginning, but they're doing it in a manner that is going to take 30 fucking years, no exaggeration. The math adds up to 30 years to like fucking get the rest of it out. It's a tragedy. So it's not Wit's fault. I think it's fucking crazy that it's 7 episodes, but as long as it's a yearly release, I think that's fine. Because otherwise, what we would probably look at is, you know, one season every 2 years. That's 100 chapters worth of content. I personally actually prefer 50 chapters of content, but just like once a year, you know? If it's just splitting it up like that, I think it's not the worst thing in the world. I guess the last thing we didn't talk about was batch release, like the fact that it's batch release, right? I don't care that it's batch release. I actually don't know why any of you guys would. Why do you guys care that it's batch release? Isn't batch release like, I understand people caring about something being batch release when it's like, oh, we want like a hype train to sort of build for the series. Like, I understand that JoJo's fans want sorry, not batch release. Why do you guys not want batch release? Why do you guys want episodic? Because to me, like, I think batch release is literally always better unless you're invested in like watching it as a community, right? Or watching the community grow. Then you want episodic. But otherwise, binging is just always more fun, right? Because like JoJo's fans, I can understand JoJo's fans wanting episodic release because there's a sort of culture that's been built around it, right? Which is like, let's see what happens next episode. It gets like, you can build more social media buzz if only one episode drops every week and stuff. But like with this, it's like, guys, this is One Piece. It's the biggest manga and anime in the world already. Like, we're good. The market is fucking saturated, right? The fact that it's starting over, it's good for like, I guess, brand new viewers, but like, you all in chat, like, we all know East Blue, like, that was decades ago, right? Why do we care if it comes out once a week versus just watching it all in one go? Like, I'm not going to be sitting here like watching Zoro fight the Nyaban brothers, and then I'm hyped for like next. I'm like, oh boy, the episode ended. Let's all go online and talk about Zoro versus the Nyaban brothers and how next episode Usopp's gonna shoot his slingshot at Django. Like, oh my god, Luffy's fighting Richi and Mohiji this chapter. Exciting shit. Next chapter, Zoro fights Kabaji. While the fight is just Kabaji kicking Zoro in the wound 10 times. Oh my god, like, what the fuck? Isn't it just, we kind of want to get through this shit, right? Like, like, what's the, like, this isn't exactly something that needs hype, Like, we're fucking 1,300 chapters into One Piece. We're in Elbaf. We're watching, like, Luffy fight, like, Loki and them fight Emu and shit. What exactly, we're not building a community here or anything like that. We're not exactly going to be on the edge of our seats episode after episode. Nothing really fucking happens, I guess, till Mihawk shows up, that's like crazy exciting. Why would you, like, if you ask me right now, hey, the first 7 episodes of One Piece Wit are available, right? Would you rather sit down and watch them in an afternoon this weekend, or we'll give you like one, like, watch it over the course of the next 7 weeks? It's like, do you know how deep in One Piece I am? What am I going to get out of watching one episode every 7? Like, oh boy, 2 weeks, like this week, I'll watch Luffy fight Alvida. I can't wait for next week where I watch Luffy fight Axan Morgan. Like, no, I'm interested. I want to see how it is. Let's just watch it in a batch. I don't get it whatsoever. I can understand it for some series like JoJo's and Steel Ball Run and wanting that to blow up, but like One Piece it's fucking One Piece. Like, it's fucking One Piece, Corny K27, thanks for the 10. Yo Morge, was each devil fruit manifested at the same time or progressively throughout history? Could someone have manipulated the masses purposely to create the idea for a certain fruit to exist? That's a great question, Corny K27. So here's what I think. The second part of your question is really interesting. What I think, so if you go back to watch my big video on the mural and on the Harley, I think that there's a lot to suggest that after the sun was touched in the first world, a few things happened. But the most important of which was that dreams started to turn into real tangible abilities. And so devil fruit started being born. That's why only after the sun is touched do you start seeing stuff like the sun god appeared, right? First Nika devil fruit user, right? the Earth God raged, potentially the Gurugurnami, or like the first Earth God fruit user, or something like that, or something like that. I think like the first thing that happened is the most prominent and powerful thoughts that people had started to become devil fruits, and that changed the entire world. Okay, and like it would have been the strongest fruits that would have appeared first. So, for example, like it said in the first world, mankind. It sounded like man was initially a slave. I don't know if that means all of mankind, but like whoever first touched the sun was a slave. Therefore, the first fruit that was created was the Nika fruit, because Nika is this is a product of people wanting to believe in a god of liberation, right? So like if you're a slave, the most like pressing thought on your mind is like freedom. So you're praying for someone to come free you. So the sun is touched. The strongest thought at that point in time is like, I'm praying for someone to come save me. And so the first power that is created from this strong will, this strong imagination, is the Nika fruit, and it turns this warrior of liberation to life, right? I wouldn't be surprised if that's also why maybe like a really destructive fruit like the Earth God fruit or the Gurugurnami or whatever the fuck it is was one of the next fruits that was created, because another strong thought that people might have had is like wanting to destroy the world, because it's just like the world is so fucked, let's blow the whole thing up, right? So I believe that that's what happened at the end of the first world, and that over the course of the second world, I think most of the other fruits that we know of started to come into play one by one, likely from like the most powerful thoughts that people had. So I bet a lot of god fruits early on, and then slowly trickled down to like more minute thoughts, like, you know, like somebody who wants to become a jacket, you know. And I believe that that slowly happened over the course of the second world. And then the important thing we know is that at the end of the second world, the sun disappeared. I believe the sun is the beginning and end trigger for the power of devil fruits starting to manifest in the world. So first fruit started to appear when the sun was first touched. Then the sun disappears at the end of the second world. That's why in the third world, as far as we know, there's no new devil fruits really popping up. That's as far as we know. It's possible it's still happening, but so far that doesn't really seem to be the case. We've never really heard of that. Could someone have manipulated the masses purposely to create the idea for a certain fruit to exist? So that's a really interesting concept I've never heard of before. Maybe it was Emu. Who knows? That's a really cool theory. Meek, thanks for the 10, man. Agreed, LMAO. I sort of tuned out of One Piece lately and been watching Hunter x Hunter on Netflix. It's amazing with pacing. York News shout out. Dressrosa is literal dog poop in comparison. Yeah, it's just... Man. Hunter x Hunter, I think, to date is still my favorite anime. I think it's still my favorite anime. Morge, that batch release. Wait, why do you guys prefer batch release? Or prefer episodic release? But I don't even understand why you guys would prefer episodic release. Like, the logic just doesn't apply to me for anything, because it's like, if you ask me, like, what's a series I'm interested in? No, like, it just doesn't make sense to me for anything. Like, if you ask me, like, hey, Chainsaw Man, would you rather be able to watch all of, like, if a genie showed up and said, hey, I will give you the power to watch the rest of Chainsaw Man, like, tomorrow, like, all of it'll just be out tomorrow, or would you rather wait and watch it, like, weekly, episode by episode over a long period of time? I'd be like, no, I fucking want to see the rest of it now. If a genie came and said, like, fucking manga I read recently, Kagurabachi, and said, hey, Morge, would you like to be able to read, like, binge read the rest of Kagurabachi right now, or read it weekly as it comes out? I would fucking wish to read it right now. Why would I wish to just wait week after week for it? That doesn't make any sense to me. King AP says it keeps people talking about it longer and not kill the hype after two weeks. But it's... that, I mean, that only matters if you care about general perception of the series. Like, I just want to enjoy... I generally don't care about agendas of, like, pushing my series being the best series in the world or whatever. So that's not relevant to me. And then, I mean, I do care to some degree, but it's not like my overarching thought. I wouldn't deprive myself of being able to just enjoy a show, you know, because I want to, like, check off some need for other people to be talking about it. So that's one. But two, even if I was like that, my question is, why does that apply to you guys with One Piece? Because this is East Blue One Piece. It's not like we've hit like pretty significant saturation with this series at this point, right? Like, how many fucking influencers and content creators watch this shit? You've got like the live action or whatever. Like, this isn't like JoJo's, where I understand it's like a relatively niche series in the grand scheme of things, but like we fucking outsold Superman at this point. What is the like East Blue One Piece? You're excited to see the reactions week after week, to see the hype train. What hype train do you think there's going to be around East Blue One Piece from new viewers? I don't even understand the concept. What the fuck? Dobby Greg says, but you read weekly because that's all that's available. The question is if you could get the rest of the one volume now or readily weekly for 7 years. Would you take weekly? Here's the simple truth that I know for a fact, an absolute fact, that everyone who is saying that they would rather read weekly than binge is lying. Because when you get a new series, right? Let's say you start a series like Chainsaw Man, and 100 chapters are already out. You have the option already to read it weekly. You could sit there, read it, wait another week, read the next chapter, wait another week, and read the next chapter, right? Nobody fucking does that. We all fucking choose binging it because that is objectively a better experience, right? Weekly is better if you're obsessed with community discussion. My point is, One Piece doesn't have fucking community discussion because we're on fucking chapter 1300 or like 1100 or 83 or whatever the fuck, right? Our community discussion is focused on the shit that's happening right now. What the fuck are we going to discuss about Luffy versus Axe-Hand Morgan? How would that even be hype? I don't even understand the logic. Like, when you catch up to a manga, you don't read it week by week, even though you could, which means that you are implicitly, by the fact that you are binging, implicitly, that is the preferred reading process. Like, that is the preferred reading avenue, right? The only reason you would prefer weekly is if you're obsessed with community discussion. My enjoyment of Andrew Anami with a good point. My enjoyment of series isn't predicated on outside validation, such as public perception or fandom engagement. Exactly. That's what you're saying when you say you prefer weekly. Jordan Van says, I binge so I can catch up and join the community more. Okay, so let's say there was no community. Let's say you're starting a series that has no community, right? Jordan Vance, are you going to tell me with a straight face that genuinely you would sit down and follow a series that, like, let's say it's a very niche series. You would be like, oh, I could read all this at once, but I'm going to read one chapter, wait 7 days, read the next chapter, wait 7 days, read the next chapter. Oh, and on Golden Week, I'm going to take another break. It'll be a 2-week break for that. That's a fucking lie, dude. Like, it's a blatant lie to claim that you prefer episodic or weekly releases or anything to binged, because pure human nature proves that when given the two options, we prefer binged. It's an objectively better reading experience, viewing experience. If you can, like, you could argue it's subjective, not objective, but I feel like if you provided every single human on the planet the opportunity between two options, they would all pick binged because it's the better experience. There's no debate about it. It's the preferable way. The only debate comes in if you're obsessed with community discussion. That's it. Tiptio says, no community that doesn't work for any media. It's called a hypothetical, dude. It doesn't have to be real. Hypothetical, right? It's abstract thinking, right? Abstract thinking. Pretend in a vacuum there's no community. You're just given a story, all right? No community. Hypothetical. Pretend. Make believe. Doesn't exist. This is like such a non-argument because it's easily disprovable by literally all of you guys' binged experiences rather than weekly choice for any series you've ever caught up on, right? No discussion. So if you want to argue that the batch release is somehow like hurting you, no, it's not. You get to watch it all in one go. It's better. It is better for you. There's nothing wrong with that. If you're complaining that it hurts One Piece's hype, That was the argument I understood for like JoJo's fans, that it hurts the hype, but it's not relevant to One Piece fans because One Piece is, it's like, we already rule everything in the manga anime world, you know? Like, One Piece is already, it is what it is. Like, we can watch some new people get into it, but it's just like I don't know what you would get out of watching a new viewer view Luffy versus Alvida. I don't know. Paul 82. Oh, wait. Lil Emu, thanks for the 5. No, a dummy battery is like a plug-in battery that keeps the power running so it doesn't die, lol. Look it up. That's what streamers use for that cam. Oh, shit. Maybe I'll get that. Thank you. Do the poll? Okay, I can do the poll. But the poll doesn't disprove my point. Because the poll is just what you claim you prefer. What you actually prefer is what your actions have shown, right? So I'll ask this. Okay. Interesting. Wait, so there's some people that do a 7-day gap between each chapter and episode? I feel like that's just being contradictory. I feel like that's just being contradictory to be contradictory. King AP says that's not the correct poll, Morge. But that is what we're measuring here, right? What's the preferred experience? Binged or with gaps? Green Tornado X says, Morge, we live in the real world where the anime and manga are not complete for any series law. One, that's not true. There are plenty of series that have those complete, but the point is what's preferred. The binging experience or the weekly experience, right? We read and watch, like my whole point is that we read and watch weekly because we have to. You're reinforcing what I'm saying. Because we don't have the rest of the One Piece chapters out, we have to read weekly, right? Weekly is the experience that you are forced to take on, right? Binging is the natural preference. That's my only point. If we had all the One Piece chapters, we wouldn't be waiting week after week to read the next one because it's preferable to binge. Does that make sense? I don't know what's so complicated about this argument. You're making my point, which is that the only reason weekly exists is because not everything's complete. Meek, thanks to 5. The difference is that East Blue isn't new content compared to something like JoJo's Part 7, which is somewhat novel to be animated. That's why Batch is somewhat better. Yeah, I agree. I'm just pointing out that Batch is objectively better because you get everything in one go, right? Like, it's just better. Like, if you have because if you get a Batch, right, you already have the option for weekly. You can space it out across weeks. So why would that be like okay. This is frustrating because I feel like this is like basic logic that's being missed out on. If you get something in a batch, right? Like a batch of 7 episodes. If you want to watch it weekly, you already can. Like, giving it in a batch, you can do both, right? Which means that it's strictly better than getting it weekly. Because if you get it weekly, you can only watch it weekly. Does that make sense? Like, this isn't even a debate. It's strictly better to have 7 episodes and then you can do what you want with them. If you want 2-week breaks, you can do 2-week breaks. I don't understand. Like this, where's the logic behind it? No Pen says, I think people are confusing the argument and are thinking you're saying that weekly isn't enjoyable. It is enjoyable, but batch reading is preferred and what everyone does. That's what I'm saying. Like it's like literally true. Eric says weekly makes it an event. That's if you're including outside discussion. So if you're concerned with like external, what do you call? Like external events, then that's, that's its own thing. But that's irrelevant to the reading experience, right? The actual experience, like, I guess that's where we're differing. I'm talking about what's a better experience, right? Batch is a strictly better experience because you automatically have both options with batch, right? Weekly is a strictly worse, like to use magic terms. It's a strictly worse experience because you only have the option of weekly, right? If you care about like, well, what does my favorite YouTuber have to say about it? Or what did people tweet about it? Or other stupid bullshit, then you have the argument for weekly, right? But in terms of pure experience, right? Viewing experience, always getting a batch is better. It's by definition, it is objectively better. Batch is better short term, but the community discussion dies out quicker. Those are two separate things. It's just, if you want to talk about what's better for if your concern is like how well will the One Piece, like the new One Piece remake do in terms of like community hype or like YouTube or like TikToks made about it, etc., then you have the argument for like weekly being better for the product, right? If you're arguing which is a superior experience, batch is objectively better. There's no argument for weekly. There's literally no argument for weekly because you can watch it weekly if you get it in a batch. Urgert Cortage, thanks to the 2. Early One Piece is made with foresight being caught up. Do also agree that early One Piece, particularly the first 50 chapters, are weaker compared to other anime starts. Henchme987 says, bro, that's literally your job. That's my point! Which is that I would even arguably have a vested interest in something. Like, if this shit came out, episode after episode, I could fucking do a reaction every week, because people would be interested in watching that. I place my personal enjoyment of a viewing experience above that sort of shit. Why would I want to watch something with 7 days gap between every episode rather than just watching it in one day? It doesn't make sense. I guess for me, like, the One Piece being created, I was excited about it because, like, I hate the current anime. And to me, I was just like, finally, my favorite series can be, like, done justice, and I can have, like, a version of it where I can sit down and actually watch it from start to finish and enjoy it and not have to hit the fast forward button, like, every 30 seconds because there's so much goddamn filler, right? That's what I was looking forward to with the One Piece. I was not aware that most people are coming into it hoping to just see people talk about One Piece some more, I guess. That's why I prefer viewing experience over anything. I don't mind batch. I don't mind batch because I get to watch it sooner. And in a manner where I can make a day out of it, you know? All right. You don't know it's being done justice yet because it hasn't been out much. That's true, but that's what I was hoping for. Tiptiu says, ruminating my thoughts after each episode's in a week. Dude, you can do that with a batch. I think there's no argument here. You got to give it up. There's no argument. You can do that. If you want a week to ruminate with your thoughts, take the week. The good news is with a batch, if it only takes you, let's say, 4 days to ruminate on your thoughts and like truly get all you want out of it, then you can, after that 4 days, you can watch the next episode. There's no argument. You're not making an argument here. King AP says, would you prefer to eat all your food at once or divide it in 3 times per day? The fun thing about batch is you can divide it into 2 times per day, 4 times per day. Again, what's the argument? What is the argument for a set schedule being better than a flexible schedule, wherein you get to tailor it to exactly your preferred experience? There's no argument. Henchme987 says people don't have self-control knowledge. That's not an argument, because you're enjoying it at the pace that you want to enjoy it. Self-control implies that there's a sense of like regulation, right? So you're being forced to do, like, self-control inherently by definition means doing something you don't want to do, right? Batch means exactly how you want to watch it. Exact pace. TomTom says, if there's no argument in a Mord stream, it means Tio Treviso is dead. I think this is like one of the most extremely absurd things to argue, because it's just like, there's no logical argument for it other than like, well, I prefer watching it 1 week apart. It's like, if you prefer it, you could still do that. It's like, it's kind of like a Yu-Gi-Oh card, right? It's a Yu-Gi-Oh card which says, the card says, play this card, destroy a monster on the field. Card 2 says, play this card. You can destroy a monster, or you can destroy a spell or trap. We call that card strictly better than the first card, because it gives you options. That's just, I don't know why this is confounding me so, or like bothering me so much, but it's just like the fact that people will argue over things that are just beyond black and white. I don't know. It just, the stupidity of the world just gets to me at some points. Paul says, miss my super. Hopefully it's more rational. Paul, thanks for the 2. Dragon will die and Vivi will inherit the rain fruit. Oh shit. That would be cool. That'd be crazy. I guess everybody would write with their theories with that. Andrew Anami says, if a large part of your enjoyment of a series quite literally hinges on the existence of an ongoing fandom, then you like being part of a group more than you like the actual series itself, lol. I think that's, I don't know. I'm not going to blame people for enjoying being part of a community, but that's separate from the actual discussion, which is your reading and viewing experience. Yes, there is. Game of Thrones wouldn't have been as big if it was a batch release. It's about creating intrigue. 2 different discussions. I think people are truly confused. 2 different discussions. What is better for the product? So in terms of building the product's popularity, what is better for a viewing experience? Batch release is objectively, it's one of the few things that you could say is objectively better for the viewing experience, because you get to choose whether you want to binge it, spend a week between episodes, spend a month between episodes, whatever. It is literally tailored to exactly how you want to experience it, right? There's no one size fits all. So exactly how you want to experience it to the fullest enjoyment. If you like taking 2 weeks to ruminate on your thoughts, you take those 2 weeks. If you're a big brain and you like taking 6 months to ruminate on thoughts between episodes, you do that with batch release. It's all good. All right? Batch release objectively better for individual viewing, reading experiences. Sincerely no debate, because there is no debate. It's by definition strictly better. This is like, at a certain point, it's just like rules of logic are applying here, right? This is like arguing that 2 + 2 doesn't equal 4. Okay, like batch is better than weekly for viewing experiences, okay? If you care about the product, or if a large part of your enjoyment comes from like discussion, community debate, community theorizing, etc., if that's where your enjoyment largely comes from, then weekly is definitely better. The problem is that with the One Piece, I can't give a shit about that because it's fucking 50 chapters of East Blue. Where like the best thing that happens is, I don't know, maybe the first chapter? I don't know, sincerely. JWP, thanks for being a Pirate King tier member for 41 months, man. Holy shit, thank you for the long time support. Definitely Definitely get your submission in for the Pirate King podcast. because I will be recording that tomorrow. So thanks for the long time support, man. Morge, man, I got a promotion. Oh, shit. Congrats, JWP. Good shit. Not upwards, but diagonally, I guess. That's upwards. That's a form of upwards. Technically same role, but bigger team, higher pay, and more responsibilities. Dude, higher pay is that's a promotion. That's a promotion. I get what you mean in terms of the role, but like ultimately, do you do the job for the role name, or do you do it for, the pay, the response, like the actual, what you're doing, Even if I can't make streams, I always listen to VODs. Thanks. No worries, man. Thanks for the long time support and good stuff, man. Glad to hear that things are going well in life. Isis K7DT, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 31 months. Holy shit, thank you for the long time support as well. Binging for enjoyment, agreed. Weekly builds community, agreed. That's all I'm saying. I think where I got confused is people are genuinely arguing that weekly is better for enjoyment. It's strictly worse. If OP was binged from the start, it'd make less money as a brand. More your priority set isn't universal. No, I made it very clear that, it's two separate things, right? Better for the product is different from better for a viewing experience. I just said that I personally don't care about the One Piece blowing up as a product, because it's just like, we've got the manga, we've got the anime, we've got movies, we've got the live action, like, we're doing good, I don't really care about the One Piece blowing up in that sense. So to me, I don't care. If you guys care about that, that's good. I think where people were like pissing me off is it turned into an argument about how like things releasing weekly is actually better for the viewing experience, which is just objectively untrue. And I think when we get caught up debating, so like, it's one thing if you want to debate like, is Law a piece of shit, or Shanks versus Mihawk or something like that. Like, things that we can actually debate on. When it's something that's just like plain and simple false, it's just like, okay, this is stupid. Hydrogen says, why are we spending so much time on this? Because I think I'm losing my mind. I think this is like the largest, it's possible you guys are doing this just to push my buttons, but I think this is like the single subject where there's like a clear right and wrong answer, like just a fact that is being debated so heavily by so many people, which is making me slowly go crazy. Just like batch versus weekly. If you get them all in a batch, you can watch them weekly, so there's no fucking difference except one gives you more options. Anyway, some people are rage baiting you. Okay, we'll leave it. Is 2 biscuits or 1 biscuit better? Ass argument. Yeah. All right, continue, God. Daniel says objectively is a hard thing to claim unless you're actually coming with metrics and numbers. No, it's objectively better because you have the option. Like, essentially, Route A is weekly. Route B is also including Route A. So Route B is essentially, you can do A or something else. So that's, in that sense, it's objectively better. Again, I would go to the Yu-Gi-Oh example, play this card, destroy monster, versus play this card, destroy monster, or destroy spell and trap, right? Card B is strictly better because it allows you to also do what Route A does, right? So there's no debate because the weekly experience is already included in the batch experience. All right, we're done. No more questions on this. Unless it's a super. We're moving on. What if the second biscuit is poisoned? Then don't eat it. Just eat the first biscuit. No more questions. Green Tornado X said, sorry, more to the audience, thought you were referring to a real life scenario, not what if all of One Piece could drop in one batch with every single chapter ever right now, which is your impossible idea. Dude, or just think of any show or book series or manga that you've read where the whole thing was complete in the first place. What you think it's do you think that no show has ever finished before? Do you think that no manga has ever finished before? What? What is the That's where my frustration is, because like these are the types of arguments that I'm dealing with here. Random guy, thanks for the 5. I agree, but curious. If you had the ability to read all the remaining chapters left of One Piece, would you do it or keep reading weekly? So, first of all, 1000%, yes. I would obviously fucking read all. Like, if you give me any series right now, I mean, how do I say this? This isn't even like a good hypothetical in my opinion, because like every single person that started a series ever, like when you guys started One Piece, did you pick, like you had, like a certain number of chapters, or like pick anything that's completed already, right? Anything that's completed already, like Harry Potter or fucking Dragon Ball Z, or like any series you guys have enjoyed, Gintama, whatever, right? When you started it, you always have this choice, right? Like as you're catching up to a series, you always have the choice of like, well, I have this many chapters or episodes left, but I could pause right now and just go weekly, right? You always have that choice. You're always going to see the rest, right? One Piece, same thing. If I could read this next week's chapter, like if you gave me next week's chapter, 1184, right, or 1184 right now, and I said, Morge, you could read this right now, I would read it. You would, if 1184 came out right this instance, right? Like, just play this thought experiment out. If 1184 came out right this instance for the world to read, right now, would you guys read it? Or would you say, no, we're on break, we're gonna wait till Friday to read? No, actually, it's a 2-week break, right? So like, we're gonna wait till next Friday to read it, because that's the correct schedule. No, if the next chapter is available, you would read it, right? And then I promise you, after that, let's say 1185 was available right after that, for the world to read, people would read it, right? Now, if you're saying, let's say just for me, right? Because let's say you want to take the world out of it, okay? Just for me. If 1184 was available just for me, yeah, I would read it. And then after that, if 1185 is available, I wouldn't be like, no, I want to wait another week to read this. You would just read the next thing that's available, because that's just what you would do, right? If everything's available, I would read it. It's the same as anybody starting any series, book series, movie series, etc., whatever. Like, nobody does gaps. It's just not a good question, in my opinion. Like, nobody does self-imposed gaps unless you legitimately want to take a bit of a break or you're getting bored with it, right? But not specifically because you want to be on a 1-week cadence, right? Now, if we take things a step further and take it to, like, me, like, acknowledging the fact that I'm a content creator, now I 1,000,000% would read the rest of it, but I think I'd feel really guilty doing it. It would be complicated. It would essentially be cheating, because then I could make perfect theories. It would essentially be cheating. I know I would do it, but I'd feel really bad about it. Does that make sense? But, like, I don't even know how I could have proper discussions after that, because, like, then if I'm doing streams or whatever, and I know the next thing that's going to happen, or, like, streams, theories, chapter reviews, it would just be too weird. I don't think I would even be able to, like, fake the fact that I don't know exactly what happens next. So I think it would be put me in a weird situation. Put me in a very weird situation. Yeah, I think I would cheat. Guys, he's talking about a vacuum. Stop talking about weekly community enjoyment. I think people are struggling with that part, which is just like the better reading, viewing experience. Like, I don't know where the struggle comes from this part, but like, yes, as a this is two separate things. It's just two separate things. It's two separate things. How to create an addict? That's not. But everybody does. You all already do that. Anytime you catch up to something, you read the whole thing. That's not being an addict. That's just a normal. Nobody fucking waits. Nobody does the waiting. That's insane. All right. Random guy says I wasn't trying to argue BTW, just curious. No, I understand, man. I understand it was a question. Would Green Tornado says, would you rather have to film 300 chapter streams now or film them weekly? When it comes to work, yeah, definitely weekly. Did he solve the Wordle? Sure, I can do the Wordle thing. How does this work? All right. Tiptio says I literally wait for completed manga. Same, because I want to be able to binge it. Because I don't want to do the weekly. But Tiptio, that means that you're acknowledging you don't want to do the weekly experience. That means you're acknowledging you would rather do the batch. You would rather get it all in one. Every argument is a bad argument. This is what's frustrating me so much. They're all bad. Oh my god. I also like to save up chapters so I can do the batch release, because spacing it out week by week is worse. It's worse. I'm letting Kagurabachi chapters pile up right now because I want to be able to read it in one go. I'm letting Jojolion pile up right now because I want to read it in one go. It keeps the flow better. Keeps the flow a lot better. Tom, thanks for the 5. Mystery and thriller series can be exceptions. Writers often create them with a weekly wait in mind. People would binge despite the lower artistic quality. I could see an argument for that. Mystery and thriller series. Yeah, maybe if there's some that are specifically tailored to that. Depends. Okay, so what do I do? Guess One Piece characters. Okay, let's try. Okay. Oh, that's a good way to do it. Where's the clue? Oh. Type any character to begin. But where's the clue? Don't I get a clue? Okay, let's try Luffy. What? Oh, okay, I see. Okay, so the jet. Oh, okay, I see. So the red is right. Okay. Ah, okay, cool. Okay, this is really cool. All right, so it's not part of the strats. Okay, male. He has all 3 types of. Oh, partial. Lower than. Oh, height. I'm fucked. Okay, this is fun. Okay, I like this game. 11,000. So 12, nearly 12,000. Interesting. It's not part of straw. It's male. Devil fruit, not a Zoan. Height, so he's really tall. Okay. All right. Let's try Katakuri. Right? Katakuri's over 1. Oh, wait. I'm taller than that, so that's not even really that tall. I get mixed up with meters and stuff like that. Okay. Ocean Grand Line. Fuck, this is gonna be hard. Okay. How many guesses is like a lot? Okay, not part of the Big Mom Pirates, so we cut. Okay, so I should be doing large groups, right? So let's try Marine next. Oh, taller than this. Okay, so not a Paramecia, not a Zone, so either a Logia or no fruit, right? Okay, what if we try Kaido? Oh no, last bounty. Okay, so bounty's lower, so fuck, this is hard. Not Big Mom Pirates. This is really difficult. Let's try fucking giant. No. Someone that has. What's a lot of care? Yeah, I do want to do a Marine. I'll do John Giant. Why can't I do John? Okay, maybe not John Giant. Okay, I really want to do a Marine. I feel like that'll cross off a lot. Okay, it really doesn't. It's missing a lot of characters then. Um, you know what? I don't need to do a marine. I'm being silly. Let's try Beast Pirate. Let's try Beast Pirate. So taller than that. Let's try Black Maria. No, but she's not. She's a zone. Um, how tall is 5 meters? That's the tricky thing. I don't know heights that well. Partial. So it doesn't tell me what it is. Is Blackbeard? No, Blackbeard's bounty's too high. I don't think there's any Logias that are taller than Katakuri. I don't think there's any Logias that are taller than Katakuri. So this is a non-Devil Fruit user, I think. It's a non-Devil Fruit user. Right? No Logia is taller than Katakuri. Non-Devil Fruit user. I feel like it might be a giant. Let's try Harold. Which characters does this have? Doesn't have any fucking characters. Bounty is lower than 1.1 bill. First Dark Whole Cake. I swear it's a non-Devil Fruit user who's taller than Katakuri. Right? Because the Logias are all shorter than Katakuri. Right? All Logias are shorter than Katakuri. Unless I'm forgetting one. Wait, does height mean... Yeah, the correct value is higher. Who's really fucking tall? Okay, Oimo. Dory. Okay, let's try Dory. No, Dory's... Fuck, I fucked up. I fucked up so hard. Dory's bounty is way too high. It's too many things are wrong. Also, they think Dory has no hockey. That was a bad guess. Kashi? Oimo? Neptune? Hajruden? They don't even have Hajruden? So this is like a fucking prominent ass character. No Devil Fruit. No Devil Fruit. Kong? No Devil Fruit. No Devil Fruit taller than Katakuri. No Devil Fruit taller than Katakuri. Fucking Curio? Atmos? No Devil Fruit that's taller than Katakuri. From the Grand Line, I'm losing my mind. Katakuri's taller than the Admirals. I think Katakuri's a lot taller than the Admirals. Fuck. Shichibukai. All crossed off. Shichibukai crossed off. Marines, the ones that I can think of, are crossed off. I'm just gonna start. It's an island character. Okay, just for fun, let me just put in Garp. I just want to see. Am I learning? Wait, no, I got the wrong type of hockey. So it has some hockey. Some hockey, so it's not some scrub. I'm actually stumped. Garp's not taller than Katakuri. Is fucking rocks? How tall was rocks? It doesn't have rocks. Roger? How tall was Roger? No, Roger's bounty's too high. Some hockey. Low bounty. Taller than Katakuri. Not a straw hat. Is fucking Killer? No, Killer's not tall enough. Oh, shit. This is fucking difficult, and I want to go eat dinner. Supernova. None fit. Kuma, no. Revolutionaries, no. It's gotta be some fucking island character. Inuarashi? God damn it. How tall is this? Is it Nekomamushi? Yeah! Alright! That was fun! Okay, that was fun. Alright. I had fun. Is that a lot? Nobody remembers Weevil. That would have been a good guess too. Fuck, that was fun. Is that okay? What's the stats? What's a good amount? Oh, that's just these are my stats. Well, how well did other people do? That was really cool. I like this. That was cool. Sure, let's try this one. Which character ate this devil fruit? Maki Maki no Mi? What? Aw, man. I don't want to play this. What's a different one? Devil fruit's no fun. Let's do Wanted. Like Mihawk or Alvida or some shit? Mihawk. Okay, let me try Alvida. Alvida didn't even... is it Apu? Because it's... Apu's not even... Yeah. Alright, nice. Okay. No, laugh is no fun. Okay, I like the character one. The character one's fun. That was fun. That was cool. I might play this every stream. Alright. Alright, everybody. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed making me upset. I know you guys do. And yeah, with that, I will talk to you all later.